All right, I think we're live now, which is good. So, of course, my name is Six, and this is The Fix Is In. So we're here, we're going to be discussing some things that are a little bit more positive comparative to last week because, it was a bit of a bummer. And, of course, joining me, as most often will be the case, we have Brad from Brad's Guitar Garage. Mate, how are you?
G'day, champions. What's going on? Stormy, windy Sydney.
Yeah, it is a bit weird.
Hello to the world. We've inadvertently started a live stream right when the amp panel's live, so I dare say we'll get like three viewers, but we'll see how we go. You can watch it back later. That's the beauty of YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, we actually do have, a couple of people who are already here, which is good. So, it was 9 people already waiting. So, for something that's only on, episode 2 and still finding our feet, I'd say it's pretty good.
G'day, legends.
Indeed. So those of you here, let us know in the comments, say hi, do all that kind of jazz. It gives us feedback, gives us stuff to work towards and all that kind of jazz. Now, the reason why kind of we're here today is to be a little bit more positive, because a lot of people hear us and go, you guys are techs, you shit all over everything. Nothing's ever good enough for you, which is absolute bullshit. There is a lot of stuff out there that is like just amazing these days. And that's kind of what I wanted to cover, is that we're living in a golden age of gear. Stuff is better now than it was when, like, for example, you and I were learning guitar 20 years ago, which is even better than what, young shredders and players were learning on in the 80s, and way better than what was around in the 60s, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Feature sets, just insane. $200 you can have a device in your pocket that's got like simulations of every single amp you could ever dream of. Multi-track recorders, drum machines, MP3 training, features to help you learn. It's pretty amazing. Plus, not to mention your phone, all the free apps you can get on your phone, all that kind of stuff. Utilizing just the stuff that you already have is like viable now, whereas back in the day, like I think my first guitar amp was a TAC tape cassette deck. And I plugged into the front of it and wondered why it doesn't sound like all the records I was listening to,
Well, I mean, it sounds fine if you're really into Burzum.
Yeah, if you're into that stuff. So.
Well, like the first Burzum album, apparently, so first or second, one of them, was literally him going into like a fuzz pedal into a stereo amp.
Yeah, well, I also heard he used, remember back in the day when, multimedia was like the big viral sort of term, and everyone had Microsoft Encarta on their computer, that kind of era.
Yep.
And they had those white plastic microphones. Like back in the day, all the computer stuff was white. These days, everything's black plastic, but back then, everything was white. And as it aged, it would go yellow. But yeah, apparently he used one of those mics, like the Electret condenser, and that was like his vocal mic. So, yeah.
Hold up 1 second, I just realised that the bottom text is incorrect. 1 second, guys, everything's going to be a little bit funky here. There we go.
Bits of gear that you've purchased, legends, in the comments.
Sorry, it just completely dropped out there because I had to change the bottom text. I just realised. Let's try that again.
And tell us about what kind of bits of gear that you've acquired recently, champions, that you think is punching well above its weight.
Yeah, you know what? Like when I had the music school, because for those who don't know, I did have a music school. 80 odd students, bunch of teachers, and all the rest of that. And when parents were wanting to get started, they were like, oh, should I go out there? Should I buy something secondhand? Should I buy something sort of, cheap and whatnot? And my response was always, you know what? I got packs here that cost next to nothing that are going to encourage your kid to play more because it's going to sound better, it's going to play better. It's not like instruments that you buy secondhand cheap that have been through just a bunch of crap and play absolute sort of play like shit. So when you've got something that actually makes you want to play, something that sounds like your rock star idols and that, you're going to be more inclined to sit there and go, Hells yeah. I want to actually, like, practice. I want to learn. I want to figure how this sounds, not just like, this sounds like absolute crap and nothing like the records. Like what you were saying before with what you learnt on.
That kind of led to me sort of finding out more about why those sounds were different, though, which was good because I learned about impedance and all that stuff. But the average kid that's not into electronics or whatever, it can be discouraging. And I tell a lot of people here, you need to maintain that dopamine, and that applies for everything. If you're learning electronics, if you're learning music, if you're not getting any little payoffs, it's you got to think. You're training yourself like you're training a dog. If you don't get a little treat every now and then, you won't be inclined to continue. It'll feel like a chore more than something that's actually paying off. So by having stuff that sounds vaguely like you want to sound like, that's a good starting point.
The number of people who would come in and go, "Oh, my kid wants to learn to play music, but I don't want to spend too much because, they're going to drop out, they're going to get bored in that. I just want to buy a cheap nylon guitar because that's what the old guitar teacher has said would be best for him." And I'd always say to them, I'd be like, what kind of music are they into? Oh, they're into like AC/DC and Metallica and rock and that. Well, I'm like, well, that's the easiest way to guarantee that these kids are not going to continue on with playing because it doesn't sound like that. Like when you and I were learning, it was a bit different because the guitars were a bit more expensive. Things didn't, quite line up so well. So you would learn on a nylon string, which wasn't ideal. And then going back further, the reason why that was the common sort of, common wisdom was because you would buy a steel string guitar, which was built like shit, which was made out of plywood, which had a mile-high action, so it was hard to learn on. And electric guitars, like they weren't really sort of cheap ones. So yes, you would buy a nylon string because that was what was there, but that's not the case nowadays.
I remember my first electric. I think it was it was definitely a Samick. I've still got the neck. But it was a Samick, and even back then it was like $300.
Yeah.
And that, if you count for inflation, that'd be like probably like $400 or $500 now, and it was no good.
Yeah. That brings me to my first point, which is like looking at budget gets gear and stuff that was around when we were younger. It's this kind of stuff, right? So this is your bog standard. This was your entry-level Strat type guitar from the 90s. This is what everyone who didn't have a huge amount of money would learn on. If you couldn't afford like the brand name stuff, you went with something like this. And a lot of people didn't realize that the reason why the sunburst on this is really weird, you see how like the forearm contour is black? Yeah. It's not all colored?
Yeah, because it's plywood.
Exactly. It's plywood. It's cheap. It's shitty. Everything about these was awful. Like, the hardware was terrible. Those plastic tuners, oh my god, they would not stay in tune no matter what you did.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like, it's insane how bad they were.
What happened to my Samick? Eventually, I noticed it wasn't staying in tune, and I'd tune up and it would go out again. And then I noticed that the tremolo had started tilting over at a funny angle, and and I tightened up the springs in the back to try and level it back out again, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And then I looked closely and I noticed 2 cracks either side of the bank of 6 screws on the synchronized style trem. The entire section of wood had broken and was moving towards the bridge pickup, and that's eventually what spelled the end of that guitar, because it was made out of this stuff called Meranti, which is Pacific maple. It's the other name, and that's the stuff they make skirting boards and door frames from out here. It's like the world's shittest, least dense hardwood, and you can cut it with your fingernail pretty much. It's like a few steps up from balsa wood.
Yep. And so many guitars back then were made out of just whatever scraps were left over, whatever could be there.
It's like literally rough cuts all just slammed together in a press and glued up.
Yep. The worst part was the hardware. Like, the hardware was always awful. Like, if you had a trem, it was made out of an unusually soft form of cheese. Like, it just would not stay in tune no matter what.
The old feta trem.
Yep. The tuners were just absolutely awful. Everything about them sucked, but that's kind of what we learned on.
I thought we were going to be positive this episode. We're getting to it. We're
getting to it. Like, it was even worse in the 80s. Like, the 80s guitars were a step below that. And then you go back to, like, the 60s and further, and it's, like, just so terrible.
I blame Jack White for everyone having a hard-on for, like, the cheap shit guitars from then, because they bring him in, and they're like, man, it plays horribly. I'm going, yeah, but so does his one. And he just plays it anyway. Like, but you want it to play like a fucking PRS. Yeah, but it's a Tesco plastic necked.
But even that, right? Like the guitars that like guys like him would play would be American student models, so they were kind of like mid-range, pretty crap. But they weren't as bad as like the cheaper ones, especially like the early Japanese stuff. Like we all fetishize how good the Japanese quality is now.
Oh man, the early Japanese stuff was dog shit. Yeah, it took ages to figure it out.
And you know why? Like, one of the main reasons, because a lot of these companies that were making guitars and that, they were making them in factories that were cabinet-making workshops.
Yeah.
Like the original Matsumoku, right? That was actually a subdivision of Singer sewing machines. They made the cabinets, like the sewing cabinets for sewing machines. Yeah.
Because, I guess, like, because they were made out of, like, pressed ply, and you get, like, curved corners and stuff on them.
Yep, we lost Brad. Where'd Brad go? You there? Yep, let's try that again. Sorry, thing changed. Damn thing.
Training session.
Yep.
So they'd have like veneer presses, and that's what they made their early arch tops out of, And often that glue would let go after a while and delaminate, just like some of the Italian ones from the same era. There was a lot of Italians, like the early Vox, I think it's Vox Continental, I think it was called.
Well, they weren't cheap, though. They were expensive. They were just shit.
Yeah, and they come in delaminated all the time, bolt-on necks on an arch top. Tells you all you need to know, eh? But yeah, so the early guitar, like basically when I started sort of getting into it, we just started to see the sort of upward swing of the quality with brands like Yamaha Pacifica. That was probably the big one, and then some of the cheap brands like Samick had their sort of primo line, like Valley Arts from Samick, which is some of the best guitars ever. Even to this day, I had one in recently. I'm like, man, this thing is like world class. It's incredible. But back in the day, they were only just starting to take off, so you ended up with a lot of no-name stuff. Not so great. But what would happen is you'd buy a cheap shit guitar, and then you'd learn how to upgrade stuff. So you'd start adding, aftermarket parts, and before you knew it, you had a whole new guitar. It's like the Ship of Theseus thing. The problem was a lot of the stuff wasn't standardized, and I'm still getting that to this day a little bit with some brands, like you trying to join up like a real parts body to like a Warmoth neck. You might have to finesse that stuff together to make it work. So a lot of people bite off a bit more than they can chew with that kind of project, and it ends up here. But these days there's sort of no need to, because out of the box everything's working pretty flash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I remember 15 odd years ago, right? You'd go out there, and the common wisdom was you would buy a Mexican Strat or a Mexican Tele, right? You bought them because they were made out of like offcuts from the factory floor, but really well put together. Like, everything was like fit and quality was schmick. The electronics were okay, the hardware was kind of okay. It did what it needed to do. But then you go out there and you spend a couple of bucks on like upgrading the pickups, putting some new tuners and some new bridge and new bridge and that on there, and you had a killer instrument. Nowadays you don't even have to do that.
Yeah.
Like the quality. Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot of shit out there still. We're sort of generalizing here, but what we're talking about is the overall market trend. Obviously, there is still some utter pus out there, but there's always going to be. Yeah. But the biggest one at the moment is the whole Chibson thing. I had a guy recently, I was going back and forth on Messenger. He basically bought this thing and it had all sorts of issues. I said, man, get your money back. And he's like, oh, yeah, but I want to upgrade. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I said, well, okay, you're going to need to refret it. You may as well go stainless frets, but if you're going to refret it, that's like $600-700 right there, including a setup, restring and setup. And chances are you'll need a new nut because of the the frets being taller or whatever, because they've been ground down to shit and they were all lifting and moving. So straight away you're almost $1,000, and that's before you're even addressing like the shitty hardware that's made out of, as you say, cheese.
Yep.
Aluminium bridges and stuff that collapse under the string tension. This was like a Les Paul style guitar, so the tunematics end up getting this big valley in them because of the downward tension from the tailpiece. And then once you do all that, it's like, well, why don't I get some new pickups too? Minimum price for a decent set of pickups is about $100, $120 a pair. For like the Tone Rider type pickups, or about 180, I think they are retail. Then you're like, well, okay, I'm plugging new pickups into shitty old pots that are going to fail in 5 minutes. So let's put some burns in there. They're about, $6-7 each. Before you know it, you've got a whole new guitar, but then you've still got the shitty soft timber that's still going to let the tailpiece bolts jig forwards after a while. It's a little bit like when you get a DIY build. You've got to like rip the house down to build the fundamentals, the foundation, to build it back up. And it's false economy at that point. You could just go out and get like a secondhand Gibson Studio or something for like, if you're going for that look, for like $1,500, and you're gonna have something then that's still got resale value if you do need to sell it in the future for whatever reason. So there is a bit of false economy there with the whole, upgrading a cheap guitar thing. It's better off to just get something decent.
Well, I mean, counter to that, right? Gibsons, we don't even talk about them. Like, they're junk. They're what happens when people are obsessed with brand names and labels. But for the same price as what you can buy a Gibson for, right? By the time you get them landed, they're, a couple of $100, typically about like $300 to $500 or thereabouts. Right, I could go out and I could drop $300 on a Harley Benton that is way, way better. Like something that is actually pretty damn well made. Something that, I mean, when they actually have images that aren't like that of a potato. There we go. Something that's pretty well made, that's got decent woods in there, that is a solid little unit. It's got hardware that is the standard type that if you did want to upgrade, you could. And at $300, man. $300. Or if I want to drop a little bit more, I can go for like the fancier one for like $500. And look at that. That's got like a nice veneer on it. The hardware, once again, is okay. They even make a version that's got like EMGs, like the more metal style one, for like $800. Like,
wow.
Yeah. The stuff these days is just insane. Like, look at that. That's a nice little three-piece neck there. Three-piece maple neck. Got the volute for that 70s kind of feel to it. Like, that's insane. Or if you want something a bit more kind of like Strat-like, Telly-like, that kind of thing, $666. Like, as we were saying with buying an instrument and upgrading the hardware, something like this, you don't even need to upgrade the hardware because it's already pretty damn decent. Look at that. Locking tuners. Yeah, they're going to be Chinese locking tuners, so they're not going to last forever.
Be the price for the metal version.
Huh?
That should be the price for the metal version, 666.
Well, I mean, this is the Fusion series, so for all like the wheelie woo kind of players these days. But like, that is damn nice. Like, I've seen
even
these
some of the
in
artist
person.
guitar stuff. Once you're above the sort of $300-400 mark, you are getting a really nice instrument.
Yeah. You don't have to spend huge money nowadays to get something, but if you do want to upgrade the hardware, for example, yes, you can still get Goto. I love Goto. You love Goto. It's the best that there is out there, right? Or you can spend big money on like the German stuff like Shaler and that. Or you can go, there we go. You can go to like Geica. Go away. Like, I have installed hardware for the for customers of Geica and the other Chinese ones. They're actually pretty damn good. Like, they make like versions that are akin to like the Goto Magnum locks. I swear to God, these pop-ups piss me off so much every time. But like, you've got quality tuners that don't cost a huge amount of money. Like, there we go, $32. And they're going to be an upgrade on the cheapest of Chinese tuners on those instruments that we were just looking at before.
So I've had people bring me Geica stuff for for installation. Sorry, but I've never sourced them myself. Are they the actual manufacturer?
Yes.
Okay.
So
they got their own factories. Wow.
yeah, a lot of these places do. Then there's like some of the models that they have are their own. Some of them are cross manufactured. There's a couple of companies that do this kind of stuff, but they do like even like bridges and things that are hard to get. So, for example, like we all know that the bridge for the Jazz Masters and the Jaguars absolutely suck. Stupid design.
Yeah.
Absolute garbage. Shouldn't be around. But they do like bridges that'll drop in that aren't going to cost like $500 for a mastery.
Yeah, like the mastery sort of principle, but a cheaper version, eh?
Kinda, a little bit of a different design. Look at that, $85 for like a badass style bridge. Where is it? Because they do change them from time to time. No. Where is it? Give me the thing. They got too many bloody things here. Let me just see. I'm going to search. There we go.
We're giving them a free ad here. We should be getting paid for this.
It's all right. One day. There we go.
One
So
day.
like you've got bridges like this one here, which is their a roller bridge. Look at that. That's like solid brass right there with rollers, and it's got the cutaways. It's got the new thimbles, so you drop them in so that they don't rock backwards and forwards. But that deals with a lot of those sorts of issues where the string gets caught up on the back of the bridge, which is quite nice. They don't cost an arm and a leg, but you can upgrade that if you happen to have like an older instrument, or you've got like a Chinese made or Indonesian made Squire or something like that. You can drop that in, bam, way better quality.
Yeah.
Let's see, we got some comments here. Let's see, Counterpoint. The best time for gear was pre-internet, back when you could grab Mosrite Ventures 2 for $25 in a drum shop basement and a Clavinet E7 for $75 in a pawn shop. Yeah, I mean, some of those bargains are still around, not as many, but the thing is,
the problem
as well,
these days is, just everyone can research everything instantly on the internet, man. There was I noticed about 10 years ago, all the bargains started disappearing. Times like that, it's really good to know people that are like addicted to substances, because then you can get some good deals.
Problem is their own stuff, or is it stuff that they acquired?
Yeah, it's good to go to some Gamblers Anonymous meetings and just network with some people there. You'll get some bargains.
That is a joke, people.
No,
gambling is bad. So here we go. We got what else we got? Lou saying, I think my first amp was a Yamaha TA20 Wedge. Definitely didn't sound like the albums I had. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's old Yamaha solid state jobbies. And we got Seppo Mark saying, apparently I did buy a Silvertone 1448 Dan Electro Masonite. Good for flat dual-jet sounds.
Sorry, when he said wedge, the TA20 is literally like a wedge.
Yep.
It's shaped like this.
Yep.
It's not. I was thinking like a kickback, like. Oh man, Yamaha took some good drugs back then, eh?
Yeah, well,
it's got that crazy, not parallelogram.
Yeah.
What's the thing I'm thinking of? The
it's not a
square
trapezoid.
speaker.
No. Trapezoid.
It's not even a trapezoid.
Yeah, it's weird.
So weird. The polystyrene speaker cone.
Yeah, and they were found in one Fender amp as well.
Yeah. They were
Bantam bass.
Yeah, I forget which one, but
The Bantam bass.
Bantam bass. That's it. Yeah.
There we go.
And
For people who are wondering, that's what the speaker inside of them looks like. Literally a big,
So
ginormous,
insane.
flat piece of like polystyrene.
It's not showing on the screen there.
Right, there we go. Doop. There we go.
Yeah, just to make sure that it's as difficult as possible to replace once it fails.
Yep. That's why, like, after
To
the
replace
first
the whole
12 months, I think it was 12 months of production of the Bantam bass, Fender switched over just using a regular speaker again, and they replaced all of them. But these are also found in, like, hi-fi amps as well. Like, there was hi-fi speakers
so
that had
crazy,
them.
man.
Yeah.
But it's funny to see when we went to their Hamamatsu museum thing, they've still got that attitude where, like, let's make some crazy off-the-wall friggin' custom solution to a to a pretty simple problem, and then they just like default back to the standard way of dealing with it after a while.
But yeah, the Yamaha stuff was, obviously, I think it's quite cool. But these were an era because they came out in the 60s originally. Okay, we're launching into solid state. We want something that's lightweight, that's portable, that's futuristic. How can we make something that's less bulky than a lot of other amps that are out there? So that's where they came out with these. The other ones in that similar range as well were actually used by David Gilmour in Pink Floyd was really? Their Leslie type speaker.
Yes, that with the it rotates that way, eh? And it's got multiple horns.
Yep, they got the three up the top. There we go.
Yeah, they're pretty crazy.
Yeah,
There's a video somewhere of someone that restored one I saw recently. Yeah, you open the top up, and it works like a sound deflector as well, reflector.
And they're absolutely wild, but they work kind of well. They have a very specific sound to them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just think they're neat. There we go. For Lou speak, here we go. Yeah, Yamaha also had those cool rotating. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Here we go.
Anyway, getting off topic a bit.
Yeah. It's all right. That's what we do.
Now we're on to amps.
Yeah.
These days, comparing the modern amps with the older amps, what's your opinions?
I am going to ruffle some feathers here. Modern amps are infinitely better than old ones. You can get more tone for your buck, and as someone who went digital a while ago, the fact that I can sit there at home with a magic box or even just my computer and call up every single tone under the sun that I could want, that makes me so happy. Like, I can pull up anything and it's right there and it's good enough.
Good enough. Yeah.
Good enough.
I guess that's what it goes back to. You're getting closer to the sound of the song that you're trying to learn how to play. So you get more of that dopamine hit once you do play it. I mean, back in our day, like, probably the first time you experienced that was when you first plugged into like a high gain amp or found a nice drive pedal, and all of a sudden you don't sound like bees in a jar. You actually sound like James Hetfield with the thunderous bloody right hand down picking. You're getting closer to the records. Obviously, when you're younger, you probably, this was the way we were. We grew up sort of towards the end of grunge or around the grunge era.
New metal
so
for
that
me.
was sort of the new metal. Yeah, so that was sort of the tones we were finding. I do think that it's easier to get some of those tones to like 90% of the way there in terms of accuracy than it is some of the other more cleaner tones like the Claptons and all that sort of stuff. I found that the modeling was good at the high gain stuff before it got good at the low gain stuff, and I reckon it's only just starting to get good at the low gain stuff in the last 10 years. Before that, it was pretty terrible, to be honest. The breakup, you could hear individual clips. It really struggled to recreate what's called the island effect of valve overdrive, which is the main reason why valve overdrive sounds the way it is and why it's so sought after. But there's also just the combination of the way the circuits were designed, around the valves was very convenient. You can recreate that solid state wise, but it was a lot harder to create the island effect with a solid state analog amplifier, whereas digitally you can create whatever the fuck you want. So
yeah, a lot of that comes down to the processing power. The more DSP oomph that you have, the more it can crunch the numbers to make something that does that non-linearity, something that rounds off those edges to add those harmonics and do all that kind of fun stuff. Like, the early stuff was good with the high gain, because high gain, you could basically just throw an infinite number of harmonics at it. So you had your intermodulation distortion and your harmonic distortion, and they went well together. The one big thing that always was a failure when it came to high gain, any of the modeling stuff, and the reason why, like, even now, like, if I'm jamming with just myself and I want it to sound good, I will still run a digital modeler through a guitar cab. I'll turn off the cabinet modeling and the mic modeling and all the rest of that, just to have it come through the speaker, and that sounds like 99% the sound of what, like, my old guitar amps used to sound like. Because I had, like, I sold my collection off and it was about $35,000 worth of amps. I had that many of them.
Friggin' hell.
Yeah, I had like countless bloody amps and heads and combos and you name it, I've probably owned it over the years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you know, gives you a good taster of what's what, eh?
Yeah, exactly. You know, but like nowadays, you've got, for example, we were talking about before how we had the Yamaha stuff and like beginners and all that kind of jazz, right? The Pacifica 012. Classic, cost next to nothing. This is available as a gig maker pack with the Line 6 Spider amp. Here we go. Yamaha gig maker
Still
Pacifica.
running the Spider, are they?
Yeah, because they work.
Yeah, right.
Here we go. What we got here? So you can get Pacifica 112, not even though 012, the 112, which is the upgrade one, and it comes with a the Spider amp as well for like $720. That's all brand name.
Because Yamaha and they still own Line 6, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah, right. So that's hence the collaboration there.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, for example, the Line 6 Helix is the one modeler I'll always recommend to everyone because Yamaha will support them for years. The only reason that they stopped providing updates to the Helix is literally because they could not squeeze any more processing power out of the DSP.
Yeah.
They hit the wall. They were doing like some magic shit to it to make it do what it was doing. And that's like a 10-year-old platform. I can still get the parts for them. Like, I use a Helix, and I can still get parts.
Nice.
Yeah. But, like, those Pacificas, they're good. Those amps are brilliant. Now, compare that to, like, what I had when I was young. When I was young, my grandmother, you know, we grew up abjectly poor. She went to Maryland's Music and put on lay-by an Ashton AG series electric guitar, old one from the 90s, some weird made in Vietnam thing. I think it was made out of mahogany or something. It's kind of like super stratty type shape. It was that with a PV Rage 158, and back then it cost in 1998 $229 for the package, right?
Yep.
So inflation calculated, that brings it up to 485-ish bucks today. Man, $500 today will get you so much more than back then. Like, it is insane how much more you will get for that kind of money.
You know my first real guitar amp? Besides the one Dad built for me, that was a that was a 2203.
Fucking hell.
Head.
Jesus.
Just what every 15-year-old needs. And yeah, because it still had like the bottom exposed. And, I'm like taking it to school and like showing the kids the wires and shit, and it's like 550 volts in it or something. So that was the first actual amp I had that was dedicated amp. So Dad built. I think it started its life as like a super lead actually. So again, I was confused because I couldn't get any overdrive tones out of it without it being fucking so loud that it would kill me. So then I trying to figure out how these sounds are created. He ended up, one of his workmates was selling a Fender 75 combo. He got it off him for like $100, and all that was wrong with it was some missing preamp valves, and we actually fired it up and got it working. But again, I just no overdrive, and the overdrive in it sounded fucking terrible. And yeah, it was just like this shrill, farty overdrive. So again, I'm back in square one. I still can't get any tones that I want. So I eventually went, I think I went to Guitar Factory or something and said, man, it doesn't sound right. I want it to sound like that. And they said, well, you need an overdrive pedal. I said, oh, really? A distortion pedal? Yeah. So I ended up getting the Boss DS1, of course, like everyone did. And again, it was sort of back into Can of Bees territory. And eventually I figured out that you can mod the DS1 so it doesn't start at like, full on saturation to insane saturation. It just, you can change one resistor, and you can dial it all the way back to almost clean. And once I did that, I was sort of getting in the ballpark. But by then, I'd figured out a whole bunch of other stuff, and eventually ended up going with a Mesa Triaxis, which
There we go.
was another story entirely.
So for me, I started with the cheap guitar and amp, but then for my 13th birthday, I think, we went to Go West Music in Auckland, in New Zealand, because I went to high school in New Zealand. Yep. So we went there and we bought 2 secondhand guitar pedals because I wanted a distortion pedal and I wanted something that was like a chorus pedal, because one of the kids at school who played in the jazz band had a Dan Electro Cool Cat, and I loved the sound of that. And I'm like, man, that sounds cool.
The Dan Electro pedals.
Yep.
They were sort of the first really budget accessible pedals, eh?
Well,
everything
they were a little bit before that. It was when the brand was brought back, so they were cheaper than some of the others, but they were still solid. So this was when it was like the die-cast 50s, like hot rod style enclosures before they went to the super cheap plastic ones.
Because the super cheap plastic ones just popped up everywhere. Yep. Everyone had like 3 or 4 of them, you know?
Yep.
And they were the precursor to Behringer, all of that. They were like the first ones to do the really, really cheap pedals. And what better enclosure for an audio circuit than a plastic box with no shielding?
Well, that's the thing, like, I got these 2 pedals, my first ones. One of them was a Dan Electro Fab Tone, which was bees in a box. It is like the worst sounding distortion ever. It is just like all fizz, nothing else. But I had that, ran it into the Rage 158, scooped to the mids. There we go. That's what you do when you're a young metalhead. And then the other pedal was a Japanese Boss BF2 flanger, which it's like I wanted a chorusy type thing.
Now they're going for decent money now.
Not a huge amount. The flanger's still not a huge amount. I still have that pedal. It's not working. It's sat in a drawer missing some pieces for years, but I'll probably get around to repairing it at some point. But I had those as my first pedals.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Well, you take that, you turn the feedback down, you turn the manual up as high as you can, and you get a chorus sound. It does the thing.
Yep.
But then I moved from
the same one. That was the same one I got the same time as the DS1.
Yeah.
It was a second-hander I got from somewhere.
Yep.
And you could do actually a tiny delay with them too, so you could get the mossy
doubling.
The mossy sound. Ian Moss.
Yep.
Where he did on his leads on Forever Now and stuff. That weird sound he had, where it sounded like it was down a tunnel. It was like it was actually a Yamaha rack delay, but you could do a similar thing with that flanger.
Yeah.
Just set the manual.
Comb filtering.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But like I went from that.
A bit like your audio right now.
Shut up. I sound fine. You sound weird.
Well, yeah, there's something going on there then.
Yeah. Now we got to sort all those bits out. But I went from that, had those for a couple of years, moved back to Australia, had just like kind of whatever was on hand to play with. Bought my first real big boy guitar that, I had an RG320. Then my mother chipped in with me and I had on lay-by at Guitar Factory at Parramatta an LTD H300. It's one of the few things that I still have left from my youth. And I saved that age. It's $800 in 2001. It cost secondhand.
Yeah.
Still got it. And then bought from a mate of mine at high school. He had a Laney 80-watt solid-state combo, but it was kind of weird because it had one channel. There was a 2-channel amp for electric that had distortion and everything. But then the second channel was for acoustic. So you could actually run an acoustic into it or an electric, which was kind of cool.
Oh, wow.
Had that for a while, and then went to Venue Music at Parramatta just before they became Billy Hides.
Venue Music.
Yep.
That was so good. I love
there was
that
Venue
place.
Music that had the weird like split level design there.
Yeah.
Went in there. They had a Marshall 30th anniversary full stack.
Oh.
And I was obsessed with that. And so I put it on lay-by.
Blue Tolex?
Your Blue Tolex.
Put it on lay-by?
Put it on lay-by, $3,500. I was working full-time at Woolworths at the time whilst going to school. So, I was...
big spender.
Yep. Problem was, I bought it.
We just got a goat trophy. Thank you, Heavy Picker.
Oh, thank you. We just got
what a goat trophy is, but okay.
Well, we had because I bought it, and the problem was it had issues. So it went back, and which sucked because it was a 3-channel amp. Oh my god, 3 channels! It sounds sick, and it had the distortion. And there was like, okay, went back in, and it spent
MIDI?
it spent like 12 months with them getting repaired, and they could
really?
never get it fixed properly. So I just said, fuck it. I got most of my money back, but I kept the bottom cab. So I had the bottom cabinet for it. And I had that up until...
Should've hang on to it.
I had the bottom cab up until 2 years ago. 18 months ago, sorry. Yeah, so I used that forever. I toured, gigged it, did all that jazz. But then I walked into, like when I was like 18, I walked into Cash Converters at Parramatta. And there they had an old Nova Forge carpet-covered rack case. And inside of it was an MP1 and a Marshall 9005 rack power amp for $400. Nobody wanted rack gear then.
They're going for big money now, man, the MP1s.
I still have that MP1 sitting over in a box.
Is that guitar or bass?
Guitar. No one had the bass
MP1.
version. God, the MB one is super rare.
MB, that's right, yeah.
MP1, I've got that.
Got one.
Dear
I
Lord.
serviced one not long ago.
Because I got the MP1 and then I got an MP2 that's sitting there that I got to repair that I just picked up for cheap years ago because it wasn't working. But I had that, and that was my like main thing for a couple of years. Got into rack gear, and then finally when I was working and I was starting to play more and getting more serious, doing the studio stuff and everything, I was like, you know what? I got money. I got big money. I was working in sales. In 2006, I was making 75 grand a year as a salesman. You know, I was doing pretty damn well. And living in a share house, living with my band, all that jazz. So I walked into Billy Hyde's in Camperdown and said, awesome, I will take the rack system with the Triaxis and the 290 plus the G system, and I just dropped 20 grand cash on the counter.
I can't believe we both, before we even met each other, almost ended up with the exact same rig.
It's because that was the rig. Yep.
A Triaxis, and I had the G major rack, and you had the G system.
I had the G system because of the video that I saw of one of them versus a tank, and it still worked. But also, it was a multi effects unit that was studio grade that didn't do distortion and stuff. It was like the first in the realm of what it did.
You know what does destroy them though?
Plugging in an amp.
Speaker output into the effects loop.
Glad to see you got that one sorted.
Yeah, I fixed it.
But like, let's look at that, right? So we went through and we spent stupid money on all of this gear, on the secondhand stuff, and we still couldn't quite get what we wanted. But now, right, you can walk into a music shop like your one, or you can see some of the weird secondhand stuff that I've got for sale, and you can buy like a board that has all those tones in, or you can buy like a tube head from a company that's going to make the best sounding amp you've ever heard for next to nothing. Or you can buy like premium stuff.
Combos. But if you just forget about modeling for a second, you want meat and potatoes rock and roll tone. AC15 CC2. Fucking perfect. And you can get one of them secondhand for $800.
Yep.
Like nothing. And you can carry it around. It's pretty lightweight.
Except we don't want the CC. We don't want the CC. We want the C series. The CC was the earlier ones. Yep.
Oh, hang on. Which one's the one without the turrets?
The CC were the first ones. They were the Chinese custom ones that had the switches on. Yeah, Chinese custom.
No,
they were the ones that had the switches for like the cathode resistors and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah,
and they had the plastic toggle switches. Whereas the C series, so the AC15 C1 and C2, and the AC30 C2.
Yeah.
PCV amps. Holy shit, they are amazing. They're reliable. Like, they are so reliable.
And Lyle actually talked to one of the engineers, and he fucking listened to Lyle. He listened to him and changed things. It's like, that's unheard of in this day and age when everyone thinks they're smarter than everyone else.
And you know why that is? Because they're owned by Korg.
Yeah, boom. So Orange as well. Like $1,000 you can get a Tiny Terror. Really good amps, man.
Yep.
Basic,
even their solid state
but
stuff.
If that's all you need, if you're just playing punk rock, that's all you need.
The Super Crush 120. Oh my god, they sound amazing. And they are discrete, solid state. JFET design. So yeah, the old joke is that 12AX7s are JFETs with pilot lights. That's what they are. They work on similar principles, right?
Yeah.
But they are reliable. They sound good. They work
Yep.
well. You don't have to spend big money on them. And then we're in this like wonderful world of like modern, like small heads and combos, like lunchbox amps and things that do high gain and stuff that has like 2 or 3 channels that doesn't cost $1 million anymore. Just not the Fender stuff. Don't touch the modern EVH stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but, going back to just the modelers though, what you can achieve with like a $400 modeling pedal, like the Mua stuff, or the I went to say Amplitude. What's the other brand? Hotone. Yeah. You had it sound like a hoe to get the Hotone. They are insane value for money, and touch screen. You can use them as a recording interface. They've got actual foot pedals, so you could use them for a gig. Often they've got DI outputs with speaker simulation, so you can just run them straight to a PA, or you can just run the no speaker modeling, run to a conventional amp. If you don't want any amp modeling and you've got an amp that you like, you can just use them for effects only, run them in the effects loop.
4-cable method.
Yeah, so good. And built-in tuner, often they've got training features and stuff which you can turn on or off. They're usually hidden away in a menu, so if you do want to go to that, you can go to it. But if you're playing gigs with it, it puts all those gimmicky stuff over into another room, into the toy room. Really bright, clear display. What's there not to like, eh? You don't even need an amp with that shit.
Nah. And like this is kind of what I say to people nowadays is that you've got just this wonderful mix of amazing new stuff that doesn't cost the earth, that you don't have to just stick with the brand name things now. Like the Chinese companies are putting out phenomenal stuff. And you've also got like this just absolute like insane breadth of quality used gear that doesn't cost the earth. Stuff that depreciates like mad, that you can pick up for absolutely nothing. Nobody buys 412s anymore. They're way too big, way too much.
Well,
contrary to what
some people do.
Yeah, a couple of old dudes and people who want to try and pretend that they're rock stars, but the market is so small. Exactly, old dudes.
Hey, it's still mainly red.
Yeah, nobody wants those things, so you can pick them up for a song. You can get a 412 easily. People more so want 212s and 112s because they're easier to cart around.
You
because
can fit through a fucking doorway.
Yeah. Venues also have like their own PAs nowadays. It's not 1982 anymore. You're not dragging your own PA to play down at the RSL. Speaking of, here we got Terry here saying, "G'day, Brad 6. When I was 18, bought an actually Plexi 100 SL, sold it a year later. Dumb decision. Hindsight is 2020. But like, I was, he was
got a story like that, Terry.
Yeah, he was chatting with me the other day in the comments about how, like, you went out to a gig and you dragged your own PA with you. There are people I know who have done that. That's what the old M&R PAs were for. That's how it was. You went there and you carried your own stuff. There was no miking up the drum kit. There wasn't any of that. That's why you needed the big amps. But nowadays, with stage volume and in-ear monitoring and all of that, people want smaller things. They want like a 112 combo. They want 15-watt heads, like the Soldano SLO 30. Mwah.
Or
all
no
of the
heads.
preamp.
A lot of people are running silent stages these days. And let's be honest, a lot of pub-based or bar venues, whatever, they'll have a bistro and stuff as well. They don't want to disturb those people. It kind of sucks, but it's just the way it is. You want the gig or not?
Well, there's only like 3 places left in Sydney to play music, but
well. Pretty much every RSL, every pub will have some kind of performance.
They'll have an acoustic duo or a soloist, or maybe occasionally they'll
RSL
have like
class.
a covers band playing
like a
K-San 5 times over.
A lot of them, like my customers around here, a lot of them play RSLs, and they'll play top 40 stuff. They'll play Green Day, Foo Fighters, but then they'll do like Lady Gaga. So everything needs to be super versatile. They need all these different sounds and effects in the one box. Everything needs to be sometimes even programmed to the set list, because when you're playing a small gig like that, it's not the hugest gig, but if you give any issues at all to the management, you just won't get fucking hired back. So everything's got to work smooth as. You have to appear professional if you want to get paid. So it's almost like some of those gigs, you're a bit more on thin ice than if you were a true rock star, you know? Everything needs to go perfectly or they'll just hire someone else next time. So digital desks, that's the other thing. Mixing consoles, digital desks, everything's programmable, effects in the box, dynamics on every fucking channel. No need for any outboard. You got 31 band EQ on every send. You got 8 sends in one box about this big. It's insane.
And you can actually go stand in the crowd with a tablet and go, how does this sound? And actually have
even
like
a tablet, a phone.
Yeah. You just
the new stuff from QSC, even if you are just a duo or a soloist, I think it's the CB10, the new 10-inch battery-powered with a built-in digital mixer, controllable from your phone using the app, direct connection. You don't have to have a Wi-Fi terminal like you used to with the QU series. Everything's just getting so much better. Built-in recording interface. Just pop in an SD card. You can do a multi-track recording of the gig and mix it later. It's insane. So yeah, the PA stuff is actually the professional audio stuff. That's what PA stands for, right?
Yeah.
Well, it can. That stuff is actually more mind-blowing how much it's advanced, even in the last 5 years, than anything instrument-based. Leaps and bounds. It's awesome.
Everything, like across all of these categories, like you can get obviously pro audio stuff that costs next to nothing that sounds phenomenal. Is it going to be reliable? Probably not. You're going to replace it in 3 to 5 years time, but damn, you're going to get your bang for buck out of it. It's the same as if you're recording at home. Like I still run a pair of Mackie HR824 speakers that I've had for 20 years, right? The original Gen 1s.
They became the industry standard.
Yeah, because they were affordable back in the day. They weren't big Genelecs or JBLs or anything like that, but they weren't cheap. But nowadays, I can walk into a music store or go online and I can drop $400 on a pair of speakers that will go toe-to-toe with it across every single metric that counts. I can put those into a room and have like a mixing experience akin to when we had those and a set of Genelec, buddy, 6050s and a set of NS10s all lined up side by side.
Yeah.
Like, it is insane. You can sit there and you can use like a modern phone to record an album because of multi-track software and because of stuff like core compliant devices. And then you get into the world of synths. My God. Synths, keyboards, stage stuff. Like modern like hardware synths. Companies go under every 6 months because it's a small industry and it's there's a lot to it. But you've got like just products that 20 years ago you couldn't even imagine. 20 years ago you had like some shitty romplers and maybe some VA stuff that was just starting to come out. But I can say to someone, go drop $1,500 on a Yamaha CK61 and it's going to be one of the most mind-blowing things out there. You can drop,
I'll take your word for it,
a couple of $100 on a Behringer analog synth unit that's 90% of the sound of a vintage one. And I've got vintage synths over there. I have, within my eyesight here, I can see a Juno 106, an OB8, an OSC Oscar, an ARP Pro DGX, a Baldwin Synthesound, a Korg Poly 61, a Korg Poly 6, a Korg Mono Poly. What else do I have? God, I've got 4 Roland CMU 810s, and just a bunch of other things that are all here. And you can get 90% of those sounds for under $1,000 nowadays. Like, mind-blowing.
Yeah. It's almost like you'd expect, because everything's so accessible, it's almost like you'd expect like the world's best music would be being released right now, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, the democratization of music is a great thing, but the problem is that also infinite choice and infinite retakes means that people aren't going into the room and making music through struggle. Yeah.
So it's sort of like, should we even call recordings anymore, because it used to be literally you were recording an event of people playing music in a room, and now it's like it's completely different. I'm not against it, but yeah, it's just funny that we still call it a recording when it's sort of everything's so warped by the time it gets to your ears.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got to have like 25 punch-ins and like comp just for like a single like 8-bar verse, that's getting a bit much. I used to sit there and like punch in from like the start of a verse to the end of a verse and get it all in one take, because that's what you did. You didn't want to mess around with things. I was still, even though we had a digital rig, I was doing stuff as it was taped, because those are the people I learnt it from, but also I wanted it to sound the best part. I didn't want to sit there and punch in every single little bit and pieces. Like that was detrimental to me as a musician.
It's like an actor remembering their lines, you know. One thing I've been doing recently, because I've been too busy to play, so my playing's really, I really need to make time to practice, and it's I've got to force myself, and I do enjoy it when I'm doing it. It's a bit like going for a walk or a run. You're just like, oh, I don't want to, but then when you're actually doing it, you've got to make a mental note yourself. I'm actually enjoying this, and you've got to refer back to that mental note later when you're procrastinating. So, what I've been doing these days is just on the acoustic. Make sure the action's not too low, so it's lazy. Like maybe 2mm at the 12th fret, something like that, so you get a nice ring to it. Just doing arpeggios, back and forth, over and over and over again, and just making sure you never miss a note, right? And if you do fuck up, don't start again, just keep going. And you get tighter and tighter and tighter. But yeah, it's one of those. It's like going to the gym. You don't get results from a 5-minute workout. You get it from months of work. And it sucks, because all the good things in life are like that.
To quote good old, Adam Neely, repetition legitimizes, and it goes the same with your practice. Like when I was learning and doing things, I would sit there and go over and over and over again, the same things. And I would have, like, the reason why I have hands like vices is because I was poor as shit. So, for me to get a set of guitar strings was way out of my budget. What did I do? I went to Guitar Factory at Parramatta and I bought a set of Gibson Power Lines, which was their heavy string gauge set. Power Lines. 13 to 60 gauge.
Jesus.
Yep.
And what, standard tuning?
Yep. Because they didn't break. Good. So I bought them and I played them and I kept going, and that's how my hands ended up as insanely strong as they were. And
here's me playing Ernie Ball hybrids.
Yeah, but nowadays, right? We've also entered once again a golden age of strings and parts. Like some of it is kind of stupid. Like anyone who turns around and says that they can feel the difference between a 9 and a 9.5 gauge string needs to go get therapy. Seriously. That is within like that is like you are talking like tolerances there, and the difference between those strings at that tension is non-existent. It is.
When I'm measuring with my micrometer, if there's an unknown gauge of string, literally a bit of corrosion will send it halfway to the next gauge. So
exactly. But like you've got companies now, not just the big guys. So obviously you've got D'Addario, you've got Ernie Ball, they're your two big ones. But you've also got like Stringjoy, you've got Kalium, you've got all these companies making different strings as well. Dean Markley are kind of back, but kind of not. They're floating around a bit. Rotosound.
I was talking to a sales rep about this the other day. Who makes Elixir's strings? Because they don't make strings.
Yep, Elixir are made by GHS.
GHS, right?
GHS.
I thought it was GHS. I told him that, and he's like, "No, it's someone else."
No, because I remember I was speaking to the years ago my Australis rep when I had an Australis account, and I was saying like because she was trying to sell me on the GHS strings, I'm like they're kind of cool. I used to use them when I was younger because they were around everywhere and they were kind of cheaper, kind of like the SIT strings that were just around everywhere, but now they're not.
They do the neon coloured ones too, don't they?
No, that's DR.
Yeah, bright. Oh, DR, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, all these companies, all these brands.
Yeah.
But GHS did the Zach Wild set, like 10 to 60s, and they also did the Stevie Ray Vaughan set. Dimebag was DR. Dimebag was DR.
It was DR.
Yep.
Okay, right.
Yep. But no, like she was trying to sell me.
89 guitar mags in my rack over there. I could have told you that.
Yep. But no, she was trying to sell me on the GHS strings. Oh, but they're cool and all the rest of that. Look, most of the stuff that I use is Elixir because people come in and they want long life. She's like, yeah, well, the funny thing is, the strings are good there. We actually make them because all Elixir is actually the US company Gore. They're a petrochemical company. That's what they specialize in.
And they do Gore-Tex.
Yep. And their whole thing is if like someone who's in the
clothing.
company goes, hey, we have a new thing that we reckon could work for it, they will explore that industry to expand into it. And that's what happened. Someone turned around and said, hey, we have this way to adhere PTFE to metallic substrates. I'm a guitarist. What if we try putting them on strings and see if they last? And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah. Lubeless sex toys. That's another application. Andrew Henderson, hi everyone tuning in from sunny Cairns. I'll be up there in the weekend, buddy, next week.
Nice.
But I'll be with the missus, sorry, no time to catch up. Wakefield Ants, hey mate, how you going? And just catching up on his comment. I fixed an AC30C2 last year, calmed the bias down. It was at 130%. Yeah, that's pretty standard. I trim them down too. Upgraded screen grid resistors to PRO3, so they're the fusible metal film, I believe, from Vichy or Yagio, one of the two. And did a few other bits to sort out some other shit previous work. Sounded fantastic. Yeah, they really are great amps. Bringing the screen grid resistance up to limit the screen grid current also has the effect of dropping the bias point as well, because the screen grid voltage will affect the dissipation. So once you do that in combination with maybe shifting the cathode resistor a couple of notches, they're really solid after that, and your valves will last more than 6 months, which is nice. The one
you might get
with the
12 months
Voxes-
out of them.
yeah. The one problem with the Voxes and many other amps these days is those no-name Chinese valves in them, which love to fail. And I believe they're PS vane. I had an amplifier the other day with PS vanes, and every single one of them was, I think that was a high watt. Yeah, it was a high watt. And every single one of them was presenting either noise or microphonics. So you sort of got to factor in a new set of valves. I go with JJ's for all of those applications these days, and they're pretty solid. But there's no point putting a new set of valves in until you trim that bias down, because they'll just eat through them as well.
The only real issue with them as well is because they're a mostly closed back cabinet and the tubes are like this far away from the speaker cones. They just get absolutely hammered from like the SPL inside.
Absolutely. Yeah, the vibration. Some valves are more susceptible to that than others. 6v6s, for example. No one seems to be able to make a non-microphonic 6v6, which sucks, but there's a good argument for heads. And I was talking to Jace from Head First, who's currently streaming probably a much more interesting stream than us, let's be honest.
It's just more technically and in-depth. We have opinions.
Yeah, I'll be watching that later for sure. I love it when they rip an amp to shreds and go over all the minutiae. So I'll be watching that definitely, and I hope you legends do. But I was talking to Jace about where do you get the name Head First, and he said, well, because he wants heads over combos, so he thinks we do heads first, and then we don't even do combos. But yeah, Head First is how much he loves the head format over the combo, which is it sorts out a lot of shortcomings, that's for sure.
Yeah. Especially because you can actually orient the tubes in the correct way, so that they don't end up cooking themselves quite so much.
Exactly.
It's like, hey, they can go upright and the heat can escape upwards, not just like pour onto the board.
A few manufacturers have tried that with combos, like the Sir Badger, and just makes the thing look so weird and top heavy. It looks like it's got a massive forehead. I know all about them.
Well, I mean, some of the Vox amps did it the right way, but then it made like changing the tubes a nightmare because you had to pull the whole chassis out.
Double Dutch rudder. And then the heat sort of flows back around and back up. I had a those JTM 60, JTM 30 things from Marshall.
Oh God, I've worked on too many of them.
Yeah, it's funny looking at the schematic. You can see the ideas coming into their head that ended up eventually getting put into the JCM 2000 series that came after it.
Yeah.
They had the JTM 60, I think, was literally the same amp, but with different cosmetics or slightly more features.
JCM 60.
JCM?
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So the original was the
JCM
JTM 30 and
JCM 600.
yeah. So the original one was the JTM 30 and the JTM 60, which they put out, and they all had issues with the transformers being defective because Dagnall made them with underspec wire, so it was too thin; they would burn out. So that's why I replaced the output transformers with a 50-watt 50-watt JCM 800 style one, because you can actually screw it to the flat part on the back of the amp, just where it used to be, which
The
worked
Hammond's
well.
really good for that.
Yeah, but like they did that, and then they were like, oh, okay, these aren't quite selling too well. We still have like PCBs and things. And then they went and made the JCM series, which is like the baby version of the JCM 900. So it was the JCM 600, but they only came with a 410 cab instead of a 412, and the head was slightly smaller. And then, of course, then the JCM 2000s came out like in '97 when the JCM 600s were discontinued.
Yeah. And the rest was history.
Yep.
And a lot of the amps are too. Wakefield amps, just a comment. Speaking of opinions, do you like the Yorkshire tea, Brad? Yes, I do. Been smashing it. Thanks, mate.
Yorkshire.
I should have worn my Lafrague. I got a little gift package from Wakefield amps. Thank you again for that, mate. I think I thanked you at the time. I'm not sure if you received that or not, but yeah, you sent me a little care package with some Lafrague beanies. I probably should wear beanies with my stupid dome.
That's why I wear this
beanie. Yeah. Oh, Michelle wants me to get one of them. I go, no, I'll look like 6. Weird. Maybe she wants me to cosplay as you. I don't know. That's weird.
Well, how the hell are you going to get that going? Yeah.
Just a bit of texture, mate. Here we go. But yeah, Yorkshire tea is fantastic. I use 2 of those tea bags at once. Wakefield amps. I like my tea very strong.
Proper strong cup of tea.
Yeah. Just going back through the comments. MSW Michigan Synthworks makes a decent CMU 810 clone.
Yep,
Nice.
I have seen them. The pain in the ass part
also,
about the 810s is there's no service documents for them.
Okay.
Nah.
There's also, going back to some of the more niche recording gear and stuff, there's a really good channel and a good bloke called Time Preservation Society. And do you know him? I can't remember his actual name, but he popped up. I think he was a follower of Lyle's channel, Psionic Audio, and then he created his own channel. And he's one of these people that put so much work. He put all of his heart and soul into that YouTube channel. And he reviews a lot of studio gear, and there's a lot of real affordable stuff on there that he reviews. Yeah, he does tend to have a sort of leaning towards more accessible gear, which I think is fantastic, because you can sit there and sort of cork sniff about $6,000 microphones all day long, but yeah, when you're actually helping people come to the right conclusions about gear, that's like a public service. What annoys me is when people are promoting stuff that's shit because they're getting paid to, because you are fucking over you're fucking over your audience. You are grabbing their money out of their pocket and throwing it in the fucking gutter. But when people are honest with their reviews, and that's why I don't take any money for any reviews, and I don't do any sponsorships at all, then you're actually getting like an objective opinion on a product. And a lot of people hate that. They don't like they like definitive answers even when they're wrong.
You need to reinforce my biases.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to know that I'm a good boy for making the purchase that I did.
Yeah, that's what it's like, eh? But I love his channel, and Time Preservation Society. Get onto that. He's got a great sense of humour too. He's a great vibe to his channel, and he knows a lot of these. The thing that blows my mind. Sorry, I'll get my words out eventually. You'll get these review channels are reviewing audio gear, and their own audio is shit. It's like, well, why am I going to believe you? I'm hearing all this ring noise and your nasal ass microphone on your face. It's like, well, what the fuck do you know about audio if you don't care enough to even make your bloody review video a good quality video? Like, come on. So yeah, he actually really cares about not only the video quality, but the audio quality of his videos too. So great channel, highly recommended. Fine holiday fun.
Good stuff. And that's like, you get one thing I like always say to people, right? Listen with your ears, not with your eyes, not with your opinions. You can make anything sound good. Like there's a reason why, for example, the SM57, the old Rhodes hammer, is still used in so many studios. Yes, a lot of people don't like it, but it still works. It's still just, it's a known variable. It costs 3/5 of fuck all to actually go out and buy one, but you've got
known.
Yeah, you know the old
unknown.
It's not unknown. Yeah. You remember that? The old, what's his name? Rumsfeld? Donald Rumsfeld?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was referring to.
It's a known unknown. Unknown unknowns.
What a joke that was. But hey, I can't believe we're actually pining for that era now.
The folksy level of stupidity is very different to the malicious level of stupidity we have right now.
Yeah,
but
true.
there are a lot of maliciously stupid people out there who are pushing, like, that you have to have this particular thing and that particular thing, and like this bit of audio gear is so much better, and oh my god, it makes a difference. Like, dude, there are so many layers to production and making a recording that you can change the tone more by moving a mic an inch to the side than you can by changing out like a massive amount of fucking gear.
Or like Lyle says, literally changing the type of pick you've got.
I'm not going to go that far, but okay.
More of a difference than what fucking power cord you use. Like, that is absolutely rife.
Oh yeah, that
in any industry where people are insufferable and rich, you're going to get that shit. So that's the audiophile industry. You also get that with other stuff like high-end whiskies. Like anything where there's a lot of money and speculation, you're going to get these wankers who just swear black on blue that things absolutely, make a difference where they just don't. You're plugging in your $80,000 speakers to listen to fucking a high, drunken, stoned Mick Jagger warble into a fucking SM57 without a pop filter. Like, who gives a fuck?
I'm kind of disappointed.
The equipment. I use my equipment to listen to the song. They use the songs to listen to their equipment.
Yep, that's why they all fucking listen to Steely Dan. Nobody actually likes Steely Dan. It's just
I don't like Steely Dan. I tried to, and I just couldn't. I'm like, this is fucking, this is trash.
There's a couple of songs that are okay, but the rest of it's like, ugh. But like, I'm disappointed in some people that we know who have like drunk the Kool-Aid to some degree, and it's like choke orientation making a difference to the tone. Like that, I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
no.
Like everything, just prove it then. Show us the results, show us the measurements, and when you start saying that it's
but I can hear
above
it.
measurement,
I can hear it.
Yeah, if it's above measurement, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Well, either you're not doing the right measurements, like you're not doing sweeps, you're not doing impulse response, you're not doing FFT, you're not doing pulse response, that kind of thing.
I mean, you can skip all of that anyway by just going through to a proper blind study. That's easy enough to do.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, show me the one that you changed, but they never do. They never want to. Yeah, I don't know, but whatever helps you sleep at night, I guess.
Who are we to say these people sell way more amps than we do? So we're just gonna bite our tongues, do all that kind of jazz. But there is a lot of
new old stock parts. Give me the shits.
Yeah,
I'm fucking over it.
Actually, I'm going to go a little bit ranty pants here and just say, yep, it's time for me to go ranty pants, because there are a bunch of absolute morons out there who, like, you try and explain to them the realities of what's even on a data sheet and what is industry standard knowledge, right? Industry standard knowledge that I learnt from people in the industry, that I learnt from my TAFE teachers and various things, which is electrolytic capacitors have a shelf life, right? They have a shelf life. So they have a shelf life that they can be on the shelf after manufacture for a certain period of time. After that, the leakage will potentially increase considerably. The premature failure goes through the roof. Infantile failure goes through the roof. And also, they are, at that point, you can kind of bring them back again, but that is where this whole bullshit that you see a bunch...
Yeah.
Yep. You see a bunch of texts going out about reforming. Reforming is not going to help a 50-year-old cap, but it will help a 4-year-old cap that sat on the shelf, because what happens is the capacitors, right? They're made out of, in case of electrolytic capacitors, layers of metal foil separated with a physical dielectric as well as a liquid, right? Over time, if that is sitting there and not being used, what happens is that the oxides that are on the surface of those metal plates, which is what basically handles the charge, right? It starts breaking down in the electrolyte. It starts failing. You get little tiny pinholes and the leakage goes up. Also, that electrolyte does start evaporating. It goes through the seals because they're not hermetically sealed.
Yeah,
so
reforming a 50-year-old cap's not going to do shit. It's already drier than a nun's hoo-ha.
But grabbing like caps off the shelf and ramping them up slowly that have been there for a couple of years, that does help. That's mainly a thing that you see in like power stations and systems and things with very high voltages and high currents, right? That's a must. You don't mess around with that. I'm not going to do that for like a $5 cap, right? I did a synth repair the other day on a an original Sequential Pro 1, right? Monophonic synth, replaced the capacitors in the power supply because that's what you do, went through, did that, and one of the rails collapsed. It was a bad cap, and I looked at the date code on them, and they were from 2022, late 2022.
Oh,
so
that's scary.
Yeah. So apparently, because I've gone through my parts bins and put things there, and I found like a box which had some parts in there. So apparently these had been around for a while, and so I basically said, "Damn it, how annoying!" I had a cap that failed when I put it in, and it could have been because it was sitting on the shelf for so long that it dried out. And every single tech, like people that I like respected as well, would start saying that doesn't happen. Caps don't have a shelf life. And they wouldn't listen, even when you like provide them. Here is a link to reports. Here is a link to the website of manufacturers, including United Chemicon and Rubicon, saying shelf life 2 to 3 years from manufacture,
right
or else it needs reforming. People don't listen, which is like, oh my god, that just does my head in. And so it got to a point where I'm just like, here's the links, here's the information, believe what you want, I don't care. But then. The thing that kind of, to tie it back into what we're talking about, so many comments were from like dudes turning around and saying, oh, just because new caps suck. New things are terrible. The old ones are better. They lasted forever. We didn't have this.
You only got to get new old stock, yeah. Okay.
And, but the reality is that modern caps, modern parts are infinitely better than old ones because manufacturing tolerances are there. They last longer. They do
look at
better.
The size of the things. The technology's advanced so much. You just look at the size of a 100 microfarad cap of the same voltage rating, like in an old hi-fi. The biggest problem with Japanese hi-fi restoration, well, any hi-fi restoration from like 70s, 80s, is trying to figure out a way to mount the caps because they're about a quarter or a fifth of the size.
Yeah.
You've got to come up with creative ways to mount the buggers.
Yep. I mean, even like 20 years. So we're not even talking like 50 years, right? So we're talking like 20 years. Like, that is a Mallory cap that came out of a, come on, focus, you bastard. Is it going to focus? Nah, because my face is still
your
there.
Face is in the shot.
There we go. It's also because I'm probably too close.
We get the idea.
Yeah. So, like, that's a, what is it, 100 microfarad at 350 cap. Sorry, 200 microfarad at 300 volts, right? Meanwhile, if I step over here...
I wonder if I can beat him. I've got one here. 200 microfarad, 350 volt. Quick draw, they call me. 100 microfarad, 350 volt.
There we go.
About the same size as one of half its value.
Here we go.
From back in the day.
Here is 220 at 400 volts.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And that's the other thing. When you commit to radial, the tech's higher because often. Not only with the spray atoms and stuff, they actually have a smaller cap inside the big cap housing. Don't ask me why, but
I can tell you exactly why.
Well, it's a visual look. They're going for the same.
Nope. It's because the reason why these caps are still manufactured is because of legacy expectations. So, for example, if you're working for a contract or like the government, the military, or high criticality systems, their data sheets and their schematics and their service documents specify this specific part only is to be used. So they cannot deviate from that form factor, from everything, and it must meet those specs.
That's like why the Mars rover had like a 4 megapixel camera on it at the time of launching, because it was developed 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
And they couldn't change it. It's like they'd already committed to it, and you can't do fucking anything.
Yeah. But like, you're working on like a big massive battleship and it's got those spray atoms in there. You're using spray atoms because that's what it says on the data sheet. You don't mess with that. But like,
Mark fixes hi-fi. Good morning from Bris Vegas, Beardmeisters. I've been here less than a minute and the F meter is already off a chart.
I mean,
Sorry,
we're holding it back relatively low. Not going too crazy.
Yeah.
Fixing hi-fi. No thanks. Pass. I'll leave that shit to you.
Yeah, I've got a Kenwood 600 special, is it called? 600? Kenwood 600. They're going for like $2,500.
Yeah.
Built like a brick shithouse, but incredibly hard to disassemble for maintenance. And
I'm going to charge
even
$2,000 to bring it back to life.
pretty much, man. Like, you've got already the wire wrap terminals, and they're all corroded. And like, you can't solder to them. You can't do anything. What are you going to do? Replace every pin and replace every wire and rewire wrap it, or just get rid of the pin and solder everything? And it's solid core wire. It's a fucking nightmare. No. So it's sort of like, man, I know it's worth a lot of money, but it's literally going to cost more than it's worth to fix it, or to make it reliable. You could fix the one thing that's wrong with it, but then you're not really restoring it. You're just doing a band-aid solution. So
that's why I stopped doing all that kind of stuff and just simplified. I don't have to deal with fucking nightmares.
There is a sweet spot. There's some of the like Yamaha CA series which you can get for like $1,000, and they are PCB, but they're relatively easy to maintain. And even if you did need to remove the PCB, it's not the end of the world. Like if you needed to like ultrasonically clean it or some shit.
See, I've got like 5 hi-fi repair places near me, so I just send customers there because
cool.
It's either like, you know, they come to me and they pay my $170 an hour in labor, or they go down the road to somewhere that like specializes in that and they charge $65 an hour. There you go. Go down there.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Go down there, go to them. They'll have parts, they'll have knowledge, they'll be able to do it quicker than I can, rather than me switching between guitar amps and synths and pro audio, and I've just streamlined it. Like, I've got so many like bits of synth and pro audio and DJ gear here now. It's like, you know what? Streamlined, keep things simple, guitar amps, and that way I'm not having to hold 5 million parts on hand and try and learn how each individual thing works. Like, nope, I've already worked on this before, I've got that, and let's go from there.
Yeah, Mark Fixes Hi-Fi says, people who have electronics and live near the ocean. Yeah, that's the other thing, salt spray. You got to buy a new TV every 12 months.
Everyone from the eastern suburbs.
Yeah, one of my mates, he lived in a high-rise apartment, like, not even a block away from the beach at the Gold Coast. And like, you go out on the balcony and just the salt spray on the glass, like they had to clean the glass like every week because it just had this crust on it. And just to think that's like inside your computer, anything fan forced, just getting that shit pumped through it, just salt. And then combine that with the humidity and you've just got a nice little electrolysis machine. Fortunately, he was into IT, so he just like built himself a new computer every 18 months anyway. But yeah, you live there. That's just another cost you got to add to everything. Either that or you become a Luddite, you know. Just use your phone and that's it.
Even then, the phones don't bloody hold up to it too well.
Yeah, the connectors and stuff.
Yeah,
salt's a killer, man.
It's like the amount of people who try and like come in for like warranty repair here, and I'm like, sorry, dude, this is like obviously like it's wherever you've stored it, or you live like in the eastern suburbs. I can see from your address from the booking.
Yeah,
this is not a warranty job, man. Sorry, but
it's either that or I had this Yamaha P series keyboard, digital piano.
Yep.
And one of their kids or their nephews or something had poured a fucking McDonald's milkshake into it. But instead of bringing it straight in, they left it for like 3 months until it stopped working and then brought it in. Man, I was gagging the whole time, mate. Like, it was so
straight
bad.
away. That's a hard no. Like that, they get turned away at the door.
I ended up just taking all the keys out, just put them in one of those big plastic removalist tubs and just jigged it around with detergent. Had to re-lube everything because obviously that washed the grease off. New key beds and sensor
PCBs.
Sensor boards and actuators, the whole lot. Yeah, it was so gross.
See, I do a lot of those key contact PCBs every year because, Yamaha service agent. But something like that would just be a straight throw it in the bin, go buy another one because it's a P series. Like because of how many I do, I can do like a full key contact PCB replacement job in an hour and a half, top to bottom. So it's $225 in labor plus the cost of the PCBs, which are $35 to $45 each. There's 3 of them in there. By the time you add all that up, it's worthwhile on a modern unit. But if it's like a P85, 95, 105, 115, and it's got like stuff spilt through it like that, nah, sorry. Just go buy a second-hand one for $400.
What happened here, and that's happened on guitars before as well, it's not worth it, but the person who was responsible for it felt so guilty that price is no object. They're just like, whatever it costs, fix it. And the person who actually brought it in had no financial interest in keeping it cheap. So the job went ahead anyway. It is what it is. At the end of the day, it was like a brand new keyboard, but yeah,
I would have just said to go buy a second-hand one. God.
I almost
buy me a beer and there you go.
Worse by vomiting on it.
Oh. It's the worst one is when they come in with cockroaches. Like, oh.
Oh man, I had to turn a bloke around. He brought in like an MG series Marshall.
Yep.
And he goes, "Oh, it stopped working." I could smell it. That cockroach smell.
Know it too well.
Oh man, I just said, man, there's like live cockroaches in this. I put it in a garbage bag. I said, take it the fuck out of my store.
Oh, better go fuck myself then. Is it that guy?
Yeah. No, it's
no,
different dude. But yeah, that was just a non-economically viable repair. I think he was like, well, who's going to fix it? I go, probably no one. Like, what do you mean? Oh, well, I guess I'll just go fuck myself then. It's like, okay, you do whatever you want, mate. Just don't do it in the store. Fuck off.
Yeah. Like, when my missus worked at EB as a manager, and people would come in and go...
You saw some weirdos there.
Oh, dude, I got to show you the photos and tell you the story about the one-legged woman in a wheelchair who was pissed as anything and was, like, falling out of her wheelchair.
Drunk?
Yes. Like,
completely
in America, wasted.
When you say piss, they mean angry. Over here, piss means drunk.
Yep. There you go. Yeah, she was absolutely hammered. It was a whole thing, one-legged, falling out of the wheelchair, and all the rest of that in the shop. It was hilarious. But she had a lot of people who would come in with their consoles and go, oh, it's not working anymore. And she'd just look at it, tilt the console up a little bit, give it a little tap, and you could just see the debris falling out. And she's like, can you smell that? Those are cockroaches. And she'd put it inside of the bag, hand it to him, and say, leave the shop, please. Because it's like,
because they're after the warmth. But these people, they live like Asmongold. It's disgusting. But I saw a bit of it. I'm pretty sort of, I give people the benefit of the doubt, but I had an encounter with a Karen last night, actually. It's pretty funny. I was at the supermarket. I popped down to get some stuff because I cooked a brisket yesterday, so I was getting some stuff to make some corn ribs and a few bits and pieces.
Some corn ribs.
And this woman had a trolley full of shit. You could tell she was rich. She had jewelry on and stuff, but she was like probably early 70s, late 60s, rich. You could tell she's had her hair done recently, typical rich boomer. And she was trying to go through the 12 items or less aisle. And she had a trolley like stacked up like fucking weeks worth of supplies, and she was arguing with the chick that's like, the chick behind the counter's like, how the fuck am I going to check this out? Like, my bench is this big. I've got a square foot to scan all your products, and you expect me to scan like 300 products. Go away. And she's arguing with her. I'm like, man, you must have to deal with some real cockheads. Like, when you're just dealing with the general public, public service, restaurants, cafes, there's no barrier to entry. Just any fuckwit can just make your life hell for the sake of it.
That's why I'm so glad that I kind of got rid of the retail side of things, because when I had someone take a swing at me for a packet of strings, that's why I'm like, you know what? Nah, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I've been really lucky. I get about one massive cockhead every year. Everyone else is great. And everyone's very understanding too with my not so optimal lead times at the moment. That's why I feel guilty doing a stream like this, because I should be working right now, but
you should just be taking in less stuff. Taking less stuff, charge more.
I have been. Yeah, I have been. I had a well, not a customer, but a potential customer contacted me last week with a DIY build. It was a 5E3, but it was built inside. It looked like I don't know, like a cheap practice amp chassis, and everything was just too jammed together. I had to break it to him that there's no way I'm going to look at that. I can't do anything for you. Your project is fundamentally flawed. This is why. So I went back and forth with them, probably, I don't know, 15 or maybe 20 minute, half an hour exchange back and forth. And I feel like they sort of got my message, but at the end of the day, they're like, okay, I'll just try this next. And I'm like, you didn't really listen to what I said, did you?
No.
It's just like, no one will... You give them the bad news with a stick, and they don't believe it, and they'll keep fighting that uphill battle. Goes back to the foundation thing. If you build an amplifier on bad foundations, you got to rip the whole thing apart to build those foundations properly before you can rebuild it. Yep. You may as well just... And at the end of the day, after doing all that, you still have a bits and pieces DIY quality build, not an actual world-class amp. Just go and buy yourself a 5E3 kit. They are everywhere. Everyone sells a Mojo Tone. Yep. I think StewMac stopped doing them. Tube Amp Doctor do them. You can get 5E3 kits. Tube Depot, yeah. You can get 5E3 kits anywhere, and they're fantastic quality. Just do that. I've even got instructions on my website with plans how to build a fucking cabinet from scratch. Anyone can do it, you know?
Like, I had... I've had people who try to contact me and go, hey, yeah, I need this fixed. I'm like, look, I can't work on that stuff. I've seen it before. It's going to cost way too much. It's just kind of not worth it. And unfortunately, I don't do that work anymore just because, it takes up a lot of my time. The other one is when you get people who go, oh, I tried to fix it myself. And immediately red bells going off in my head. Like I had one that was a Yamaha EAD10. So that's their hybrid drum module thing, that what it does is it records the acoustic drums around you and also mixes in electric drums on top of it as well for like recording. Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty really neat unit. Apparently something happened and the USB port stopped working. So, my mate tried to repair the USB port and it's not working.
Uncle Grandad fixed it.
Yep. Brought it in and, oh my God, had he just brought it in beforehand, right? Yeah, it would have been an easy job.
I say this, man, but no one listens, eh? Yep. Everyone wants to do it cheap.
It's a simple job, right? More. You take the gun, awesome. Pull the jack out, you put a new one in there. What this absolute ham-fisted, low IQ amoeba of
hey, steady
a
on,
dork,
they might be listening.
They're not. They're not. Just this person, had he have actually been interested in learning how to repair things, that would have gone out and done a bit of research and used the right stuff. Instead, the classic case of, oh, here is a solder iron that's obviously not temperature controlled, that just burns through everything. Yeah. Yanked the old PC, the old USB port out because it's a USB-B, the big square ones. One of those jobbies, pulled it out before everything's heated up, so he's torn out the through-hole plating on the things, and then he's installed a USB 3 jack in a USB 2 spot. Now, for those who don't know, right, a USB 3 jack...
Different protocol.
No, it's the same protocol, but the pinouts are different, right? So we go USB B2 versus USB B3 socket. There we go. So we go to that. We go to images, AI sucks, all of that kind of jazz, right? Now, if I go over here and we take a look at the screen. So over here is a USB 2 thing, right? So you got your two ground connections on the side that provide you mechanical connection, and you've got 4 pins, right? For your 4 pins. So that's positive power, ground, and plus and minus data, right? Awesome. This mofo has shoved one of these in there. You notice the extra pins, right? Yeah. There's what
do you do with the extra pins?
He cut them off, but they weren't fully off. So he's cut them off, put them on the board, and they've scratched up the board, cut traces, right? Yeah. So I've had to remove this, put in one of these, and then I've had to grab 30 AWG Kynar.
Yeah. The Kynar wire.
grab my optivisors
Last
and look
resort.
up close and run from those 4 pins. Because bear in mind, 2 of the connections are on the top side of the board where the jack is, and 2 are on the underside. And I've had to run those to like an O2 part, like so goddamn tiny, just to get that
Like Lewis
connection.
Rossman work.
Yeah. So I've had to do that, which took me over 2 hours to do, versus if it had been brought in, I could have had it done in 15 minutes top to bottom.
Yeah.
Like,
There's also the other thing I tell them. So a lot of the time it's maybe more consumery type gear that they try that stuff too. Because some people try to work on their own amps, but I think there is a general sort of consensus out there that valve amps are dangerous and can kill you. So a lot of people are a little bit more hesitant for their own well-being, which is great.
Yeah.
But when you get to like keyboards, like samplers, that kind of thing, you really need to take them apart yourself to know how to put them back together. And the procedure, which screws go where, you can damage stuff with the wrong length screw. So taking them apart, I've got an old tin that used to have Ferrero Rocher chocolates in it, and that's what I put. I put the screws in the sequence that I took the thing apart in its 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, and then when you put it back together, you just reverse. You go backwards through the through those little segments, and makes it heaps easier to disassemble. I take photos of anything pertinent. You don't have the ability to do any of that when someone's already taken it apart. And the ironic thing is, they often come in and the first thing they say is, "Oh, I saved you a bit of time because I already took it apart for you." And it's like, no, you actually just cost yourself a lot more time, because now I've got to actually figure it out and watch other people's videos on YouTube on how to take the thing apart and put it back together. It's just a fucking nightmare. So I just go, no thanks, sorry buddy, you had to go. You learn to finish it yourself. You got to finish what you start.
yeah. Like, there are some things that make the job a bit easier, but it's still, like, not entirely. If someone brings you just like a stack of screws and everything, you have to basically separate them, measure them to make sure you know the pitch and you know the length of that, right? For example, if we look at the service manual for a Yamaha P115, I can open and close these with my eyes closed. I have done so many of these, the 125s, the 45s, all the rest of that. But like,
Can you play it with your eyes closed?
yes, not very well though. You know, I'm no Stevie Wonder. Look, I am to keyboards as what Stevie Wonder is to driving.
True.
But here we go.
Although
Here
these days
is.
with Teslas.
Oh God, no! That still kill people. But like, this is a Yamaha service manual, right? So this gives us an idea as to where the parts are, where the boards are, all that kind of jazz. There we go, P45, because they've been around forever. They're just going to still be made forever. But here we have like the disassembly procedure. There's all the screws, right? That's how you remove them. You take the bottom off that way. There's the key bed.
Yeah.
You know, step by step, guiding you through the entire thing. Not every company
These ain't
does
your
that.
average. Yeah, I was going to say, these ain't your average service manuals.
No.
Sometimes all you get's a schematic, even if that.
Like a half schematic, barely.
Yeah.
Maybe a block diagram if like they're really generous.
Yeah.
But like, when someone goes, I've done this and I've cut in, like, I still get emails from people who when I say to them, look, I need to repair this, but the reality is just getting inside takes time. Digital pianos, that kind of thing, to get to the parts, it takes forever. Oh, what if I just take it apart before I bring it in? And I say, no, that's not how it works. I need to be able to pull it apart, to check everything that's there, because if it comes to me in a non-working condition or in a non-accessible condition, how am I supposed to know what is working and what's not? I could, you could bring it in pieces, and then I go, I think that's it, and then change a part, and then put it back together, and it's like, is it working?
No idea. So then you end up having to take it apart again and quadruple your labor cost, and now you're exceeding the value of the unit sometimes by 100%.
Yeah.
So better to not even take it in. Probably the probably the saddest thing about getting a shop is now that you've got overheads. When you're playing around with stuff at home, it was a really fun time learning how to repair stuff at home, because there was no pressure. It was like every repair was like a little adventure. These days, you have to account for every fucking second that you spend on that bench. and it really zaps the fun out of it, eh?
See, I've kind of been like that for years anyway. Like, I've got my own
Yeah.
projects I do separate, but to me, like, when I'm on the job and I'm doing on the clock, I do this for money. That is the only reason that I do it,
Yeah.
because, you know, I grew up in abject poverty. You know, I do this because it is a skill set that I have. It's something I know quite well. And, like, yeah, it's not the most horrible thing on earth, but when something comes in, I'm going to monitor every second. I'm going to use my, you know, my Casio to keep an eye on things and go through as I need to, because unfortunately, everything is getting more expensive. Rents are through the roof. The cost of power is through the roof. The cost of, God, it's insane how expensive it all is.
Every now and then I'll allow myself an afternoon, maybe after I've closed on a Saturday, and just say, look, this is fun repair time. I'm going to experiment with some mods on one of my amp. Because you need to keep developing. It's like how people think that AI, once you train it, the training's done. No, you need to continually train it, otherwise it gets stagnant and no longer knows what's going on. So I might get some product. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of these things come in. Let's actually dig in and see what goes wrong in them. Like the Tone Masters, for example. Is there a systemic problem that keeps happening? Because then it could be viable. Let's do a bit of research and.
See, that's professional development. That's a different kind of thing. That's like, okay, what can make this more efficient for future jobs?
Yeah.
You know, we're not like mechanics. Mechanics have this wonderful like database that they can look up, which goes, here is like this problem. This is probably the fault with it there, because they all share that.
You want a new transmission for that Toyota? All right, that'll be 20 minutes time. The Repco truck will turn up out the front with it. Like, I think people think this industry is a lot like the mechanics industry, where you get your car 2 days later.
I fucking wish. Electronics is a nightmare.
People come in with that expectation. And if, like, to be fair, if they've never dealt with electronics repair, how would they know any different? So it's part of the reason we show, you know, the stuff on our YouTube channels, because people drop something off and, oh, okay, I've actually had people come in for like a restoration or something, or like some detail problem on an amplifier or no signal or whatever, drop it off and all right, so I'll just go get some lunch. Will it be ready by like 2? Or I'm like, I thought they were taking the piss. I started laughing.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's going to be longer, is it? I'm like, yeah.
That's why I now preface every single interaction, email and everything, and I just turn around and I say, do not expect to hear from me for 4 to 6 weeks at a minimum. Because if it's done in 2 weeks, awesome, people are happy. But if it takes longer, because if I've got like a series of jobs that like knock each one back, then that's kind of like going to be the way it goes. If they want it done immediately, they're paying my expedited fee, which is a 50% surcharge on it. But the thing I say as well in emails to them is I go, look, I can't give you an estimate. By the time I've like found out what the issue might be, I've fixed it. That is how it works with most electronics. You bring me in an amp that like someone's knocked the pot off, okay, I can give you a bit more of a price. You come in and you bring me an amp that just says it's noisy or it's not working. Great. I got to poke and prod around.
The issue, you've actually got to replace that component to confirm that it's the issue. So you've repaired it in the time that you spent diagnosing it.
Yeah.
Now, if you tell them that often, they'll be like, oh, it's fixed now. Sweet. And you'll be like, well, hang on. You still got to pay. It's not just a bench fee to diagnose. Sometimes the diagnosis takes a bench fee time. Other times it might take 4 times as long. And then you've got some units like mixing desks, which you've got to factor in like 2 hours of disassembly before you can even get to the area to start diagnosis. So it can be. But these people don't know that without us educating them on it. So I've sort of got, over time, I've sort of formed a little internal canned response that I can just sort of just tell to them in face.
And that's what I say in the interaction, but also emails, because people have to book in appointments. That gives me another step in between. People will email me and they'll ask about it or whatever, or they'll go through the booking procedure to book an appointment. It asks for what have you got and what's the fault description, and that allows me to contact them and just go, look, the reality is this is going to be your minimum charge, $150 for it to touch my bench, right? However, I can't guarantee by the end of that time I'm going to even know what is going to go on with your unit. It could be a couple of hours worth of work. But because I understand what the value of things are and various other things, I might go to someone, look, these are expensive on the secondhand market. We can still throw the work at it, but I can't give you a price or an estimate because I don't know what the problem is. And by the time I know what the problem is, we're almost done with the job. And then it's just going to be, here is your bill. If you bring me in something where it's like, okay, here is a broken pot, or here is something that maybe I know well enough. Like someone goes, I've got a Hot Rod Deluxe and it's making noise.
Yeah.
We all know what that is. But someone, for example, I have 2 Mesa rectifiers in here, 3-channel models from the early 2000s, different revisions, mind you. One of them had noise and various other issues, and the other one had some other issues. Minimum bench charge on them is 2 hours, just for me to open and look at them, because one of them, I had to get to the point where it started working, put the board back in, tested it. Okay, there's other noise behind that. Great. Board has to come back out, and then I got to check it, and then put it back in. By the time it was all said and done, it was about $1,000 worth of work. But I said to him up front when he brought it in, look, you are most likely going to be looking at a bill of anywhere up to that amount, because I can't estimate, I can't guess on these things. There's too many. The onion has too many layers. By the time I've peeled everything back, we're both going to be crying.
Yeah. And then restorations is like, the problem is no one wants to go ahead without a rough estimate. You know?
Well, then I just turn them away. I don't want to deal with them.
Yeah,
that's
and then
it.
they end up here.
Yeah, exactly.
But
and then you could just as easily say the same thing to them. Like if I were to go out there and buy myself a 1971 Dodge Valiant Charger, the Aussie made ones, because I've always wanted one, right? 71, around that kind of ballpark. And I walked into a mechanics and I said, hey, I want this thing drivable. Do you know what they're going to do? They're going to turn around and say, awesome, we can sort that out. $1,000, please. I'll call you when I need the next 1,000.
Yeah.
You don't. You just keep paying, and they keep working on it at their leisure. And then you get to a point where it's like, I've spent too much. I've got to stop. And I'll go, not a problem. Here's your car back. We've done this much work to it. Or you keep paying the money until the work is done. And then they go, here you go. Here's your car back. Only in our industry do people think that somehow we have to operate differently.
Have to cap it, yeah. To operate like that, it requires a degree of trust. So you've got customers that have either, again, part of the reason I've got a YouTube channel is to foster that trust that I know what I'm doing before people even contact me. But once you've done a few repairs for someone, a few restorations, you become their go-to guy, and they'd be happy to do that arrangement. But if you've never dealt with someone before, there's a snowball's chance in hell they're going to say yes to that. Simple as that.
I get it all the time.
Yeah.
People still come in and they still do it. But the thing is, there are people who, if they're not willing to come to my terms on that, then okay, not a problem. Like, you have a queue that's like 3 months long or whatever it is, because, you know, you've got these people who all come to you and give you the wonderful, fun jobs and all that kind of jazz. My queue's kind of getting long, but having that as well also means that I can filter out some of the jobs that just would be headaches, or where I reasonably can't meet the customer's expectation without sacrificing a lot myself. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the guy that goes, okay, I said I could do it for this, and fuck, now I've got to put in so much extra effort, and these other jobs get pushed back, and now I'm not making money. I would rather have the people that come in and realize that, you know, my skills are what they are. Things are going to cost what they do. Like, especially with synths. Vintage synths, man. They will eat time. They will eat it like some kind of like horrendous bloody time god. And that is all you can do. And they will sit here for months while I wait for parts. Or I will come back to them and I will dive into them deper and check things out. It is what it is.
Synths I got really, really lucky with when I first started out. Like, I had some Ensonic, is that how you call it?
Yep, Ensonic.
Yeah, I had a couple of them come in, like high ticket items.
Not really. They're cheap on the vintage side of things because they're a pain in the ass to work on.
Right. Yeah, I had a few where there was like one of those crystal digital analog converters that have failed, something else, but they were home runs, man. I diagnosed it within like 30 minutes or so. Had the thing repaired within an hour once I got the part in. So that misled me into how easy synth stuff is, so I got all cocky. And it was only after a couple more where I got the first real problem ones, and I'm like, holy fuck, what have I done to myself? So I was a little bit more pessimistic. So yeah, you can get high on your own supply sometimes when you think you're really smart, when you're just not.
Well,
I've got no illusions as to how smart I am now, and I'm not that. I'm not unique or particularly intelligent.
There are guys out there who know way more than what we do, but we're pretty switched on. Like one thing that I want,
that's
exactly.
the key.
Yeah. One thing I won't do though, like, is tape machines. Like I look at guys like Kurt.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
Man, that's insane.
Yeah.
What he does.
Like tape machines, I look at him and I go, no thanks.
He's a wizard, man. The shit that he gets up to, and he knows them like the back of his hand. Straight away, it's like us with the Hot Rod Deluxe. You mention a model, he'll know exactly what's wrong with it. And but I just don't know what fucking lunatics are playing with reel to reel at home. Like it's like the least. It is the least convenient like reproduction method of music.
Let's rewind to what we were saying before about.
Ooh.
Yeah, let's rewind. Here we go. To what we were talking about with people who wanted that experience of like recording music the way it used to be done, right? You'd sit there and you'd use tape and you'd have to punch in. You have to get good to do it. So many people are doing that, but also like synth guys especially, because you can take multiple synths and sync them together and record them that way. You can do like a doorless jam directly to tape. A lot of people love doing that. However, you've got like the audiophile guys that God only knows why they're using tape, because it either comes from vinyl.
I don't understand.
That makes no sense, because it's either coming from a digital source or like there were some like tape-based recordings that came out, but it was such a small market.
Ancient.
Yeah, and they're getting sticky shed by now.
The tape would be all degraded.
Yep.
It doesn't stand up to time. Nah. It's just like it's the least convenient hi-fi reproduction format. But
like I can't understand the vinyl guys. Like I own a couple of vinyls, but I don't have a player because I don't want to listen to them. If I want to listen to anything, I'll listen to a CD or a digital file that's like higher fidelity.
I listen to vinyl quite often. It's a little bit like, I don't know. I just like doing it. I don't have to fucking justify myself to you, you asshole. Getting defensive, that's what you say when you got no justification behind it.
Ad hominem. Of course it's an ad hominem. Yeah. I don't respect you.
Plus, you called them vinyls, so you're instantly gone down a few pegs in my book.
Oh, eat my ass. I'm a linguistic descriptivist, not a prescriptivist.
Fair enough.
Exactly.
No,
well,
mate,
let's.
I like the large artwork. I like the. I'm a sucker for a picture disc or a color disc. It's an aesthetic thing for me, and it's a little bit like, it's easier to just fire up the oven and put your pork roast in there, but I like doing the charcoal on the Weber, and it's a whole process. You know, it forces you to stop, I think, and appreciate the art a bit more than the convenient methods where you just got it pumping into your ear, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like the industry term for it is feelies, right? So feelies are like products and things that you get from, like you buy, like the old big box video games you used to get back in the day. You'd get like a manual, you'd get like a poster, you'd get other bits and pieces. It's the same thing with like records and all that kind of jazz.
Feelies,
you've got that
they call them.
Called feelies, yeah, because you pick them up and you hold them.
Have you got a customer or what?
No, I have somebody who's ringing my doorbell when it says quite clearly directly beside it, by appointment only.
That you closed.
Yeah, it says clearly, but nobody ever reads the bloody sign.
Now. Bring him up, put him on the video. put him on the camera. Oh, it's classic. Oh, delivery!
Sorry, one sec, guys.
Go. All right, legends. Mark fixes hi-fi. I still have a CD-ROM of VCR faults I got from Wes. Holy shit! They used to do CD-ROMs of VCR faults. What was that? Like a PDF or something? Like a list, or is that like a service manual with some annotation? That's pretty cool. I didn't know they did that. I remember back in the day I had a alignment cassette from Wes. They used to sell like alignment tapes and stuff, which was pretty cool. I don't know what happened to that. I used to do the azimuth, I forget. forget the terminology, but basically aligning cassette heads because they'd all go out, particularly in the Walkmans where you're walking around with them. Barnettle, how you going, brother? Back when talking about rust, can anything be done DIY? I'm in the eastern burbs, amps and pedals, audio gear. Not a hell of a lot, man. I think stuff like pots and switches, just use a cleaner lubricant. Don't use contact cleaner because it often is just a solvent. It doesn't have any lubricant in there. You need something to put a protective coating on it. Just sealing things up when you're not using them. Put them in like pedals in Ziploc bags if you're not going to use them for a while, that kind of thing. Desiccant packets, don't use that shit with instruments, but desiccant packets with electronics, you can get it as dry as you want. Just the little do not eat desiccant things, and just keep it out of direct exposure to the draft. Like if you've got a music room, sort of close it up a bit, dehumidifiers, that kind of thing. If you're right on the coast, humidity as well as sea spray will be an issue. Yeah.
Hopefully, you didn't talk too much shit about me while I was gone.
Yeah, no. I've converted everyone over to my channel. You've probably lost all your subs.
Oh, please. You already have more subs than I do.
Actually, if I crack the 14, it keeps bumping up to the 14,000 mark and then teetering on the edge. Have I clicked over yet? No, 13,998. I've lost two subscribers yesterday.
Oh, fuck. See, somehow my subscribe count still keeps going positive, even though I barely output anything. Just keeps going up like 30, 40 a week. Just
I'm about that too. It's about 130 to 150 per month. It's just a slow climb. But every now and then we'll do some, I don't know, I'll have some political rant and I'll lose a few more MAGA heads. But who gives a fuck? Fuck them in their stupid assholes.
Yeah. Well, fucking, I just got a bloody... What's the delivery from fucking the one of the warranty people I do for, and it's like, you fuckers sent it to the wrong address as usual, but it's just turned up and the entire bottom of the box is waterlogged. So I'm like, no, Star Trek guy, note this down on your delivery thing, water damaged, because now I've got to contact them and be like, yeah, here we go.
Yeah, awesome. Does it look like I'm wearing a fez? Does a bit, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Kind of looks like you're wearing like some kind of like weird hat thing.
That's my video light behind me, champions. Yep. I'm not actually... Just I keep lining my head up with it by accident. It's distracting me. Look,
you're already into cigars and bloody whiskey. You need to get into hats. You need to start collecting hats, man.
I don't know. Hats look weird on me.
No, they don't. Hats look great. You just need to ignore the haters.
Hat from the rep.
Remember, people used to think that ska sucked, and now we're back in the Renaissance.
A lot of people do still think it sucks.
Yeah, but they're wrong.
Yeah.
How can you hate such a happy music?
You know what I think fucked ska up? All the cringy teenage movies that had ska soundtracks because it was popular at the time.
Yeah.
I think that's what fucked it. All the Rob Schneider movies.
Rob Schneider is the carrot.
The carrot. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what made it cringe.
Well, it's kind of like nu metal. Everyone's like, oh, nu metal sucks. But now it's like all the young people are discovering and actually going, okay, this is actually kind of cool. Because like anything, yeah, you had like good stuff and bad stuff. Like good stuff, you had like Mudvayne and you had like Slipknot and
awesome.
Yeah, they are. But then you had like the shit stuff. Like Mushroom Head and the other dorks. Like and, things that were like the equivalent of like hair metal.
Godsmack.
No, Godsmack were more like butt rock.
Yeah, they were butt rocky, yeah.
Yeah, but like they had some good songs, like the what's he from the what is it, Mummy or Scorpion King or whatever it was. That was a good song.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. Did you see the Limp Bizkit keep putting out like press releases and stuff? The whole band's basically in agreement that this is the first time they've actually really been having fun on tour.
Yeah, because they're back
and
like
they're really enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really enjoying themselves. They reckon they have been playing to bigger crowds now than they were at the peak of their fame.
Yep.
And record sales.
Yeah.
And they're fucking loving life because now they're at ease with themselves. As you get older, you stop giving a fuck what people think. You just have fun. And they're loving the road life. I reckon that's very wholesome. I wasn't a big Limp Bizkit fan until I read that. And now I'm like, well, fuck. Maybe I'll see him.
I always loved Limp Bizkit. I thought like they were great. I was a kid who got like, like some of my first like CDs that I got were Metallica's Master of Puppets, of course. I got that. I got Korn Follow the Leader, which was a gift from my mother.
Yeah.
I got Limp Bizkit's Significant Other. And like these albums were fundamental to like understanding how the guitar could also be used in such a different way. Wes Borland as a guitar player is just mind-blowing. Like his ability to do weird things is like, but still like a song.
Yeah, back then I didn't understand it. Korn, I just couldn't get my head around the way the bass was just a percussion instrument more than an actual rhythm section. And I don't know, a lot of the 7-string, everyone was just loving droning on the 7-string. And it's a bit like modern gent stuff. It's just like, it's just like, yeah. But, I don't know. I was sort of turned off a bit by the hip hop influence with a lot of it.
See, I was a big hip hop kid. Because grew up in a black family, so
that's why I like leaning towards Slipknot and stuff made more sense, because I was an angry little fucker rather than into the hip hop stuff. So all of the stuff, even the more punky stuff that lent into hip hop, I wasn't that into, like 28 Days and stuff. I preferred the goofy dickheads like Frenzel Roman.
See, I loved all that as well.
Weirdos.
I also went to school with the guy who wanted to be the bass player for Unpaid Debt. So it was one of those. Yeah. Where is this fucking thing?
They're still going, I think. Unpaid Debt.
No, they ended years ago.
Oh, hang on. I'm thinking $1 short.
Yeah, they're still going.
Financial difficulty names.
Well, like the drones are back now apparently. So
the drones, yeah. I mean, I want to see them. Fucking love the drones, and Tropical Fuckstorm as well. Man, Gareth Lydiard is just, man, he's a love or a hate thing, but fuck, I love him. His vocal is just unbridled raw emotion when he performs is just something you don't get every day. And I'm gonna fall over myself to see the drones, because I just got into them not long before they broke up.
Yeah, right.
And I never got a chance to see him live, and I wanted to go see him with Tropical Fuckstorm, but I just nothing like, man, I'm gonna lose my shit when he plays Shark Fin Blues. That was the first song I heard from them, and it's just just blows me away to this day. It's just,
I hate
amazing.
getting into bands that don't exist anymore, or like being in bands that don't exist.
That was the name of that was my entire life, man. Like, I got into Soundgarden like the year they fucking broke up, and then was obsessed with them. And I got into Chili Peppers, and then they went on hiatus after Blood Sugar, after One Hot Minute, and I was like, well, I'm never going to see them again. I'm never going to see these guys again. Alice in Chains, never going to see them again. But then they all fucking came back.
Yep. For me, it's like bands that don't exist anymore, that were like either because someone died or just because they stepped away from the music industry. Like, obviously, Typo Negative, like top 3 band for me. I fucking love Typo Negative, and I'm never going to see them live because they never made it to Australia. And another one is Scarling. Like, I fucking Scarling. They are so Jessica was the lead singer of Jack Off Jill, who was in the same sort of like scene as Marilyn Manson, when it was Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. So they were of that era. But then after Jack Off Jill ended in 2001, 2003, sorry, I think around that ballpark, she went off and started a new project with her husband under the name Scarling, and it was like noise pop, art pop, shoegazy, like just, I can sit there and listen to the album So Long Scarecrow from start to finish, and it starts with like a track that's like 60 BPM droning fuzzy guitars, and then moves into like just heavy kind of like fast things, and like there's one song, the end of the album, that is just her with a solo bass guitar that's being played in a room while the snare for the drum resonates to the bass cab. And it's just like, love it.
So just looking at the amp panel, who have they got on? There's 5 of them this week. They've got an extra person.
We didn't even get an invite. How rude.
Nah, I'm not a Billy mate. I won't get an invitation there. We've got to have Jace on for just a bit of a fuck about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what Lyle's doing with his technical difficulties if he's going to keep doing that. Hope
Hasn't
so.
done one in ages.
Yeah, it'd be good to see him continue on with that. He's been going down his photography rabbit hole recently. He's playing with film. It's awesome.
Oh,
Getting some good
film.
results. Yeah, well, he's not doing it for. Yeah, he's actually sort of getting the shits at shortcomings again. So he'll probably steer away from it again.
The
but,
the one thing I like about film is, much like recording to tape or recording to like old ADAT, is that limitation means you have to be a bit more thoughtful of what you're going to shoot or what you're going to do, right? So I've got a camera with 128 gig in each SD card, and I've got 2 slots. I could shoot thousands of photos. But if I have a camera with like 3 rolls of 24 exposures for an entire day,
Make you think.
you gotta think every little bit.
That's the main attraction to me. I'm pretty sure that's why Lyle likes it as well, because it makes you really, when you're paying at the end of the day like $5 for that shot, you're really going to think about composition.
But then again, like a good friend of mine who lives in Japan, he's a professional photographer, Alfie Goodrich. He absolutely hates film.
It's
He
Tracy
won't
Guns.
use it.
Sorry, Pastor just let us know. It's Tracy Guns.
Him.
That,
He's an
I've seen
interesting
him starting
fellow.
to do some building, yeah.
Yeah, he's a bit of a weird dude. At least he's not like... I wonder what would happen if
you're
they had
not?
that blades... Hey, I'm interested in a different way. I'm like the annoying younger brother that everyone has. It's just like, oh, fine, I got to deal with him.
Travis McCartney was just saying, Six, I genuinely love your info dumps.
Well, I'm glad somebody does. My missus has to put up with him, unfortunately. It'd be funny if they had that Blades custom guy on there who's like absolutely... he's not right.
He's just a cunt though. Like he fucking disparages everyone. He's got no mates. He's just there's not a single builder on the planet that he likes because he is the best one in the world. He's just a cockhead.
I'm absolutely amazing and my amps go forever, and his over-the-top use of
it's like
AI
every
for every
week
post.
Every week there's some new post that pops up in the forums about him trashing someone, and it's always just there's never any actual evidence brought to the argument. It's just his shit because I'm so great, and it's just like, mate, fucking. We're in the music industry. Do you honestly think we've never met a malignant narcissist before? Like, come on. We know what you are. We know what to file you under. Now, fuck off.
That's the only way you can get ahead in this industry.
Yeah. Well, if you're behind a guitar, not behind a fucking bench.
I don't know. Some of the people behind the bench, some managed to do it. You know, all the pedal builders, especially. Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, it's good fun, isn't it?
Here we go. We got Mark Fixes Hi-Fi saying, first band I got into was the Beatles in the 1970s when people dissed me for listening to quote-unquote that gay music. Things have changed, thankfully. Yeah. Controversial take. I don't think the Beatles are great. Oof.
Yeah, but that's not controversial because you're just being edgy.
No. I listen to them and I just go, yeah. But then again, like, there's also the philosophical element to me as well that goes... The Beatles are the best band that most people know of because they were the ones who were found by a record company. How many infinite other bands that never had access to that level of like production or those things or had those events lined up were out there? Like, we know like the classic, classical music geniuses out there that we all know of, like your Beethovens, your Mozarts, your Johann Sebastian Bach, all the rest of that. But there were still like thousands of other composers that we don't know of their existence anymore because their sheet music doesn't exist anymore, or because it was composed and like there was only one copy written.
It's like sometimes I'll go out in the city or like other cities and you'll just bump into some jazz musician playing at a cafe or something. You're like, holy fuck. Like, yeah, wait, do you have anything? Like, and they're like, oh, here's my Bandcamp or, you know, my... and that's it. And it's just like, holy shit. And like, as someone that appreciates music and a lot of the technical proficiency, but also prefers the song being written as a piece of art rather than a showcase of their ability. Yeah, you can just see some breathtaking shit out there. It's just, and the amount of stuff that you just see on a street corner that you'll never see again, and that person has no social media presence or anything. That's what's beautiful about life, man. You bump into this shit and it's gone as quick as it arrives. You know, you got to savor it.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. The world is an interesting place, that's for sure. Music is one of those things now where everyone has access to it. Infinite people can make music, and yet fewer people are making a living from it, which absolutely sucks. Where everything is being all squished down into like a smaller pool of like a handful of songwriters who have had music written for them, rather than having actual more talent out there creating things based on what's cultural and what's relevant. Look, there's
It's
always
like the movie thing. Instead of making new stories, we're just getting rehashed stuff over and over again now.
and it all looks so bad. Like,
Yeah.
because these poor people have been pushed to like the edge. We don't get to have like lighting. We don't get to have color. We don't get to have good CGI anymore. Like the missus and I.
Why do you think everything looks so washed out? Because this is a common thing.
There are infinite people on YouTube who have done good video essays on it. A lot of articles out there that covers like the changes from about 2010 onwards. So now lighting is all so flat, audio is flat, CGI looks terrible. It's mainly got to do with production turnarounds and times, and also having fewer of those people there who their job was to set up that lighting and whatnot, and a lot of it being digital in the box. Look at a movie from the late 90s, early 2000s, and there were patches where it was dark. Things look different. It's like the loudness wars. You don't get that now. But then you also get like shitty CGI where the compositing is so garbage because these things are being outsourced to companies that get pushed to the brink to get paid fuck all. Like we watched Mortal Kombat 2 last night, and the first movie was great. It was dumb, it was stupid, it had an awful story, but I loved it. But it looked okay, and it was good, some good fight scenes. The one last night, it looked like a fucking, it looked like it looked like someone had fucking made like a video clip in 2009. Like the CGI was just real shitty. The compositing was bad. Like you could tell that the person was nowhere near where the background was. It just looked awful. So, it's sad. It is what it is. But today is about the positivity, the good stuff.
It seems. Remember back in the day where you'd have your settings in the like Doom or whatever or Quake, and you were getting freaked out because you couldn't see shit in dark rooms. But if you jacked the brightness up to like 11, you could see stuff, but it just looked washed out. It's like that. There's no actual darkness anymore. There's no unknown. Everything's got to be known knowns.
Things used to look great. Even movies that were like kind of lower budget or weren't like phenomenal, they had that. They had that thing to them. Like I love watching older movies. I love doing all that. I used to be a bit of a cinema nerd back in the day, and you would see like someone had actually gone in there and crafted that shot once again because they had film and they had that, and they had to get as much in the camera as they could because you weren't going to be able to like do most of that stuff in post-production. You weren't going to be able to adjust the colors to the same degree. You weren't going to be able to like touch up and lighten and darken these areas. Now you can do it all in the box.
Yeah.
Good old DaVinci Resolve.
Sad. Little bit like the recording industry, I guess. You end up with just compressed, boring shit.
Yep. Or you end up with AI music, and the less said about that, the better. Go out there.
Well,
there's good music out there. There's good bloody instruments. You don't have to spend big money on them.
Yeah. On that note, I think I've got to wrap up. I've got to go home and spray paint some stuff before the winds kick in.
Yeah. And I'm going to get into the repairs. I got to sort out the bits and pieces. So, now next week there won't be a Brad here because he's going to be up there having fun in the middle of nowhere and doing all that with the missus.
We'll see how we go.
Time off.
If you find someone else, go for it. But if you're at a loss, give me a yell. I'll see if I can do one from the Gold Coast.
No, you're going away on holiday. It's all right. It's either going to be a guest or it's going to be myself discussing my special interest of the week.
I'm going to be on the Gold Coast. I might stream from the beach. We'll see how we go.
There we go. Either way, I'll be here next week. I'll be doing my thing, discussing the next topic, the next thing that's of interest, all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, if you haven't already, make sure you've liked and subscribed and do all that kind of fun stuff, because it does help. The algorithm helps, even though we've got we're going toe to toe with another show that's in a similar vein to what we are. We're still hitting like 20 odd viewers. Yeah, look, we have the same schedule each week, Monday, doing this thing. It is what it is, but still, for something that's like, just getting started and we got 20 people coming along, that's not too bad. That's not too bad at all.
Join us, legends.
Exactly.
Any sneak previews as to what next week's focus might be?
Let's see. What can I come up with on the spot?
Right.
Nah, look, it'll
development.
Yeah.
It's in development.
Nah, I'm gonna bring in someone for a discussion and an interview, have a bit of a chat with them, sort of pick their brain on some stuff as well, and just discuss how there are differences between where you are in the world with how it is to operate as a repairer, and also like the differences in markets with like gear and stuff. What we have access to in Australia on the used side of things is so different to what you get like over in the US or something like that. It is just like our world's different. That's why we obviously get people who contact from overseas to buy things and go, oh, but I can buy it for this price here. It's like, okay, great, buy it there then.
Yeah. That's what I tell them.
Yep, exactly. Alrighty, legends. We're going to head on out of here. Thank you muchly. Have fun, do all that kind of jazz, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take it squeezy.
Here we go. And that's ended. Awesome.
Hey, good one, man.
Yeah.